That's RedEyeRadioshow.com. The Red Eye Radio Million Mile Club would not be possible without the generous support of the fine folks from Petro Stopping Centers, Howe's Lubricator, Motel 6, the St. Christopher Fund, and Cat Scale. We applaud the individual truckers and fleets who drive with care and keep our highways safe. The Red Eye Radio Million Mile Club, devoted to trucking safety. Register online at RedEyeRadioshow.com.
Good morning, now 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, not quite as cold as you walk out the door today. Stefano DiPietro telling us it'll still end up being a very nice fall day.
First Alert Live radar is totally in the clear right now, as it should stay the rest of our day. 50s, 60s right now. It's actually about 15 to 20 degrees warmer compared to this time yesterday. The rest of our day, we have good sunshine, and we top off in the upper 60s to low 70s.
And right now it is 61 degrees, a little cloudy here in Nashville. In the news, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be brittle after Hamas killed 2 Israeli soldiers and Israel struck back. Here's ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burridge in Tel Aviv with more.
On the ground in Gaza, it's not just Hamas and other Palestinian political parties like Fatah in Gaza, with Hamas being the dominant force. There are also clans, effectively very powerful families, which have had sway and influence in the Gaza Strip. But in the sort of power vacuum in Gaza because of the war, some of those families have been collaborating with the Israelis, and some of them have been armed by the Israeli government. But Hamas is also trying to take retribution against them and stamp its own authority on the ground to ensure that it is the dominant force on the ground going forward.
In other news of the morning, Channel 4's Jeremy Finley says a Nashville man is in custody after keeping police at bay for hours in Lebanon.
Police say Roger Watts barricaded himself inside a condo on Leeville Pike. He was wanted for several charges out of Wilson and Rutherford counties. Police say that Watts wouldn't come out, and when they were worried that he might be armed because nearby homes were evacuated and some schools were placed on soft lockdowns. After 4 to 5 hours, a SWAT team went inside the condo. They found Watts in the closet and arrested him without incident.
Now, this took place at the Crosswinds Condominiums complex off Leeville Pike, west of 231. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
The markets rode a wave of gains Monday after Apple stocks hit an all-time high, as new data shows that iPhone 17 sales in China have outpaced the iPhone 16, with standard sales rising by 1/3. The Dow Jones closing 515 points up, the Nasdaq rising 310, and the S&P ending 71 points ahead. Internet users were still experiencing disruptions into the afternoon hours after a widespread outage of Amazon's cloud computing service Monday had pushed a number of websites into the dark. Banking institutions, schools, and government apartments all affected as Amazon confirmed a rolling fix is in place. Gucci owner Kering has sold its beauty division to French giant L'Oreal in a $4.7 billion deal, allowing the two companies to collaborate on wellness and beauty products under both names. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Slight losses on the futures market. The Dow futures are minus 60, NASDAQ futures down 18. We've got the S&P futures minus 4. That is the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, we've got no delays to speak of this morning on 2465 or on 40. Things are looking pretty smooth so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to a Tuesday, October 21st. We have a lot to get to. Headline from our friends at the Tennessee Star. ICE identifies a teen arrested, 18 years old, after a high-speed chase with Nashville cops as illegal immigrant from Honduras.
What do you know about that?
What a coinkydink, right? Do you know what I wonder? I wonder, Afton Bain is, of course, always in the news for her idiocy. I would love to see, do you know what I would like? Because I know that there was a conversation, Joan Jones. By the way, hello, Joan.
Hello.
I'm all fired up. I've already done like 3 hours of talk radio.
Yeah.
So when I come in after Red Eye, I'm already ready to go. I want to see Matt Van Epps and Afton Bain do a debate.
Yeah.
Because I want her to be held accountable for this crap. This is the kind of stuff that she supports. This is the kind of stuff that Afton Bain stands by. So I want somebody to ask her the question. It's not going to be me because I don't think she'll come on. But I would like somebody to ask her the question. Do you stand by this? Because you're always out there. I would say to Afton Bain, you're always out there trying to take down ICE. You're always out there trying to side and hide the illegal aliens, side with and hide the illegal aliens from ICE. Well, they just busted this Gelson Varela Duban.
You did that well.
No, I didn't, Joan,
Okay,
actually,
I'm
but
just
thank
trying
you.
to help you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
18 years old. This kid is so young that he's got his acne in his mugshot. I'm sure that he's thrilled.
And his hair doesn't look so good either.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
18 years old, arrested following a high-speed chase with Metro Nashville police as an illegal immigrant again from Honduras. An ICE spokesman reportedly confirming that Varela Duban is a Honduran national. In a statement to WKRN and Davidson County Sheriff's Office records show, he is currently being held on a detainer requested by ICE. According to ICE, such detainers are lodged against potentially dangerous aliens who have been arrested by another law enforcement agency or are removable from the United States. I wonder how long this dude's been here.
You know what I'm noticing? And because I kind of always notice the media side of this.
Yes.
This was reported in the Tennessee Star.
Yes.
I don't see it anywhere on
Nuh-uh.
the local stations. Local TV stations are ignoring this one.
Well, I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I wonder? I wonder if here's what's interesting. So oftentimes, and I'm not a big fan of local television news. Everybody knows that. But I wonder if they go out of their way to not talk about these stories. Like they're just going to say, look, if it's an illegal alien involved in the crime, unless it's a really bad crime, just don't cover it.
Yeah.
Or just don't mention that the guy that raped the woman to death on church steps is not an illegal alien. Just leave that part out. Because, Joan, it doesn't really matter. That's what the left will tell you. It doesn't matter. According to the Metro Nashville Police, the vehicle first fled from law enforcement at a high rate of speed. It ultimately spun out and crashed while exiting I-24 at Harding Place. Apparently, the dude fled on foot, quickly apprehended. They then apparently recovered 3 handguns and a rifle from the vehicle after he was arrested. Reporting, WKRN reporting one of the firearms had previously been stolen. I'm sure that he was just getting his life together. He just wants to, he wants to enjoy the American dream here in the United States. And apparently part of the American dream, if you're a Democrat, is letting these guys get away with anything. Luckily, though, I'm assuming that he will be deported. I hope so.
Killed plenty of people while
can you
he
imagine?
was on his little tirade.
How many times have we reported, Joan Jones, how many times have we reported just this scenario?
Yep.
But then they ultimately end up, slamming into some family of 4 and killing them. Big fiery death.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that all the time. That's why number one, when you don't see these kinds of stories in the media, it is infuriating. That's number one. And number two is this is what is so infuriating about local Democrats, is that they just don't seem interested in identifying the problem. Today is what, Joan? Is it day 21 now?
Day 21.
Day 21 of the government shutdown, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Oh, by the way, Senator Marsha Blackburn is going to be joining us. Gubernatorial candidate is going to be joining us at 7:35 here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk.
Dan, that's great news.
Do you know what I ought to do?
Yeah.
I ought to try to frame my first question to get a well, Dan, out of the senator.
Oh, you should, yeah.
Well, you were here for the well, Dan. No, I know you were here, but Johnny was here behind the board. So Sam doesn't actually know the history of well, Dan. So, Sam, just so you know, I asked the senator a question. I don't even remember what it was. And she answered back, well, Dan.
Well, Dan.
I know exactly what you should ask her to get that response today. It should be about medicinal marijuana.
You know what? I could ask her about medicinal marijuana because you know what? John Rose answered the question not very well. A lot of people said, well, John, then we will not be voting for you. But I guarantee you that Senator Blackburn is going to say the same thing.
Well,
I mean,
ask her like how Chris asked Congressman Rose, if the people were polled, the legislator voted on it, would you still veto it if it comes across your desk? I think that framing of it might give more insight because Chris was right to call Rose authoritarian for that.
One of the things I find interesting is, and yes, I think with Congress, I think I asked her that. This came up before, and I think it was with her. I've interviewed so many of these people. But, I'll ask her about medicinal marijuana.
I think, though, like I'm hearing in my head, Senator Blackburn, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to start out with pot. Like, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I would agree.
Ease in.
I'll eat. Well, you know what? It's going to be my last question. It'll be my last question.
There you go.
You always have the you're not sure how it's going to go questions as the last question.
Yeah.
We know it'll get a well, Dan.
That's okay. That's okay. You know what? Because I've had so many people say, can you tell me the history of well, Dan? Like, what is that? Anyway, yesterday was a big day, by the way, for President Trump. Remember, yesterday, the theme was Democrats are whining with the whole No Kings thing. And while they were whining with their marches and their silly little dances and all that, their inflatables and their furry costumes, President Trump was getting stuff done. And so that continued yesterday. The president made a point to let Americans know that law and order is back. I've got details on that straight ahead. It is 5:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads.
Okay, let's go out to BNA. So first here this morning we have it's an accident on I-40 westbound. It's right before Donaldson Pike, exit 216B, and the right shoulder appears to be blocked off by that accident this morning. So far on 24 and on 65, no delays heading in. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7.
Hey, Joan, you know what's funny?
WTN.
So we're training somebody today.
Yeah.
And everybody listening on the radio thinks that it's Sam that's screwing up.
Oh, yeah, this is good.
Now, just so you know, RJ, it's okay.
It's okay if Sam screws up.
It's okay because everybody thinks that it's Sam. We all got to learn somehow, somewhere. You never had to run a board, did you, Joan?
Yeah.
Like Sam? Like Sam and RJ are doing?
Yeah. So in Washington, D.C., the news anchors at the very prominent, very prestigious
WTOP
radio station, we had to run our own board.
Did you really?
Was it made of stone?
Huh.
No, it was gold encrusted.
It was golden
As
encrusted.
opposed to the dust
Yes.
encrusted in there here at WTN.
So, yeah, I get it. I mean, I get it. And the point of the training is that you have to be dropped into the situation and let go. Because
You got to be
that's
dropped
the only
in.
way.
You got to make all the mistakes, RJ. So, you know what? You get a pass because and you know what? Look at the bright side, Joan, is that, I make all these mistakes every single day. I've been doing this
for 155 years.
155 years I've been doing this, Joan.
Yeah.
Still sound like I'm 12, but it's been 155 years. All right, moving right along. Need some video and some audio, por favor. So President Trump came out and he made a point to let Americans know that, yes, law and order is back. This is the headline from the Daily Mail. Donald Trump boasts a huge FBI victory. 28,000 violent criminals arrested, 5,000 children rescued as he declares law and order is back. And he talked about a record-breaking number of people have been arrested. More than 6,000 weapons have been seized. Among those who have been arrested are more than 1,700 child predators and 300 human traffickers. Do you know, on a side note, how sickening it is that we have that many child predators in America? And I know that that's 1,700. I mean, that is like a drop in the bucket. But you know what? That is 1,700 child predators off the street. And I do wonder how many of those are illegal aliens. Donald Trump also claiming that 5,000 children have been rescued. 2,000 criminal enterprises have been disrupted. 1,900 kilos of fentanyl, which Trump says was enough to kill 125 million people, were seized. Do you know on that last one? Hey, Sam, you're familiar with fentanyl. So is 1,900 kilos of fentanyl, is that enough to kill 125 million people? That's a lot of people.
Considering like the overdose is like 11 grams, yeah.
Okay, very good. That's why we keep Sam around, Joan. It's because of that college education of his.
Is that what it is?
Something like that.
Yeah.
The FBI, the president says, under my administration, is doing an incredible job. Well, Dan Bongino, of course, the deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, he was on Fox News talking about all of this and talking about the president's state of mind when he came into the job.
The president early on, with regards to this crush and violent crime, whether it's in San Francisco, Chicago, any other major city, early on, this is kind of the untold story of this op. I get appointed, announced in February, come in March, cash his hair a little bit earlier. President brings us in early, and in essence, this is kind of the behind the scenes, guys. He says to us, you know, listen, I'm a builder. I'm in a lot of these big cities. He has just zero tolerance for violent crime. He just does. He drives around Washington, D.C. on these OTRs, off the record movements. He sees homelessness, crime. He can't stand it. He says, what do we got to do to fix this? And we basically lay out a bunch of things. And his answer is very simple. President's like, go get them, boys. Go get them. That was it. Like, you do what you have to do.
I mean, I really like that attitude. You go and you do what you have to do. And that seems to be, here in the second term, basically Trump hiring the right people for the job. And I do believe, and there's some people that are critical of Kash Patel, and I do understand that. I think that Kash is doing a good job. Pam Bondi, jury is still out on Pam Bondi. But I like that Trump is just letting his team do what his team is supposed to do. So there's more from Dan Bongino. Also, news out of Memphis is coming up. It is 5:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open at 615-737-9986. This is where I tease, I tell Joan to do the tease for the newscast coming up at 5:30, Joan. Hello. Go ahead.
You going to be all right over there? Did you have a aneurysm?
You know what? I did, but it's not my fault. I wanted to make sure that RJ knew what I was doing.
I see. Gotcha.
So, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
I blamed RJ for my aneurysm, Joan.
Beautiful.
All right, Joan, what's coming up?
Well, he used to keep the peace. Now a former deputy sheriff is headed to prison. Also, it looks like one county is going to start from scratch when it comes to property tax assessments. Those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
524, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, throw the host a bone if you would. And follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Dan Mandis Show. And watch us anywhere on YouTube, X, 997WTN.com. I believe Rumble may indeed be working today. And if you would, that would be great. All right. So talking about President Trump and doing everything that he can do to fight crime here in America, I want to remind you of an audio bite that has now become somewhat infamous. Do you remember when we had Kenosha, right? Kenosha was burning, and Kamala Harris appears with Stephen Colbert, and as Kenosha, Wisconsin is burning, Kamala Harris said this.
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not. So that is Kamala Harris. And one of the things that I thought is interesting, as she is, this was back during the Summer of Love, where she sang and she beamed. Remember this? We're talking about this. She was beaming when what's his name there brought up the Stephen Colbert brought up the riots that were going on, the burning that was happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And so she said, you know what? This is going to continue. And she was very proud of the fact that these riots were going on and that Kenosha was burning. So one of the things that I think is going on right now, just to bring it full circle, is there are a lot of Americans when that happened, the George Floyd riots. And the term that I am using is beleaguered at that point, where we're all watching, whether it is in Minnesota, whether it is in Atlanta, wherever. You know, you name the Democrat-run city, and it was under attack. And the Democrats were loving it, as indicated by Kamala Harris there. And so part of what Bongino is saying is, oh, absolutely. You know what? Donald Trump is telling us that, yeah, you know what? We need safety in the streets. We need to make our city streets safe and great again. So, yeah, do what you have to do, despite what someone like Kamala Harris would say. So Bongino, who was, again, on Fox News, deputy FBI director, went on to talk about Donald Trump and what they have done from the day that he walked into office to fight crime in America.
We brought in a violent crime roundtable of the best crim agents in the country. We figured out a battle plan, how to kind of water balloon. You know, when you squeeze a water balloon, you get a bulge. How do we bulge agents here and then bulge agents there? And we cleaned up at the president's direction, the director and I, with the SACs and the agents in the field. Yep. We water ballooned around the country and made, get a load of this, guys. This is going to trip you out. 28,000 violent crime arrests in 2025, and the year's not even over. You say, oh, well, what does that mean? Put it in comparison. Prior 3-4 years, the FBI under prior leadership had averaged about 16,000. We're at 28,000. 28,000. We're not even done with the year. We haven't even hit Thanksgiving or Christmas yet. Shows you when you get a president, an attorney general, a deputy attorney general, and an FBI leadership team that lets the FBI do FBI work instead of getting into other nonsense in the past. Look what happens. Your cities get cleaner.
You know, it's interesting, too, is that all they got to do is their jobs, right? So if you're the FBI, if you're the cops, whatever, if you're law enforcement, and you do your job and you're allowed to do your job, then your job gets done. And if you're law enforcement, that means that these streets are safe. If you are the Border Patrol and you allow the border to be protected, then you won't believe what happens, Joan. The border gets protected.
Get
right?
out of here.
I know it's crazy. So that's the whole point of Donald Trump is, listen, you guys just focus on what you do. And Biden, of course, as everyone knows, he wouldn't let people do their job. The Daily Mail pointing out the Justice Department seized 3 million fentanyl pills back in June. The FBI got a Missouri man on their most wanted list for child sex trafficking. I will obviously point out that closing the border was huge. Trying to get these illegal alien gang members, also huge. And I can tell you that in Memphis, there is some very, very good news that I have to share with you. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but we'll talk about that. And you know who's back?
Who?
Cringe Jean-Pierre is back.
Yeah, I saw her making the
She's
rounds.
back. And
I'm sure she's got some, brain trust ideas to pass along to us.
she's got a new look.
Mm-hmm.
Same lies.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting, and we've got the audio. Here's what's interesting is people on the left are starting to push back. And I think that because she has now declared herself as an independent, I think that they are angry with her and they're starting to push back on this little book tour of hers. So we'll talk about that as well. It's all straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News, 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We have some overnight clouds. They're going to clear away, though, and we're in for another sunny day today. Our high near 73. Little more windy today as well. In the news, a former Williamson County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to child pornography charges.
The court documents say back in June, Joseph Slayball used the app Kick to elicit sexually explicit images, and the plea agreement states that Slayball was a deputy at the time of when this happened.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. He was arrested in a sting operation in which an FBI agent posed as a 14-year-old girl. Slaybaugh faces up to 10 years in prison. Rutherford County tax assessors got it wrong. The Tennessee comptroller, Jeremy Mumpower, told the Rutherford County Commission that his review turned up mistakes like missing buildings, incorrect square footage, and misclassified properties in 1 out of 4 reassessments.
We found that even the attempted corrections were riddled with errors. When you don't have assessments done in a fair and equitable manner, property-owning taxpayers lose confidence in the taxes they are paying.
Comptroller Mumford recommends hiring an independent firm to reassess all 130,000 plus parcels. Estimated cost over $3 million. Democrats once again voted to keep the government shut down last night. Republican senators heading to the White House today for a working lunch with President Trump. He believes the Democrats are about to cave.
I think they're going to have no choice but to go along because the country is setting records in every way and people want it to continue that way. So we're hoping the Democrats become much less deranged and that we will get the vote pretty soon, and I hear they're starting to feel that way, too.
The shutdown enters its 21st day today. That is the latest news. Traffic is coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. 40 westbound at the airport, just before Donaldson Pike. If you got that accident in the right shoulder, and police around the scene of that one. Antioch, a crash at Anderson Road and Owendale Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. So, Joe and I have wandered into the Super Talk 99.7 WTN chat.
Yes.
And I think his name is Scott, is obsessing as to why I keep touching the screws on the microphone.
Well, okay.
I don't know why he's obsessed over it. I have had a problem, Joan, since I was in high school.
Of touching the screws?
Of not knowing what to do with my hands.
Oh, I see.
So for people listening on the radio, we've got these two little screws, and I'm always just touching the screws. And so Scott wants to send me some sort of thing to tighten up the screws. It's not about the screws, Scott. It's about the fact that I'm such a nervous Nelly and I never know what to do with my hands. And apparently Murphy Show, I can't, you know what I've realized? I cannot tell Murphy Show anything.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Apparently he spilled the beans that I slept in my car
at the Home Depot.
At the Home Depot yesterday. Did you hear him? I didn't know he did this.
No, I didn't hear him do it. I was wondering how the listeners knew.
And you know what the funny thing is? I don't know why people thought that was so funny yesterday. People are asking me, if I've just been hanging around. We had a meeting, I should say. We had a meeting yesterday at like 1 o'clock. I'm off at 9. I've been on the air since midnight. So I go to my usual Starbucks, and right next to that Starbucks is a Home Depot. And instead of, looking like a homeless guy falling asleep at Starbucks, I got in my little RAV4, and I went into the Home Depot parking lot, and I just slept for a little bit so that I could come back for my meeting. I kid you not, Joan. I am in the Home Depot parking lot. Now, I am sleeping in my car. I am like far away from people because I don't want people to see that I'm sleeping in my car. I mean, I'm not worried about being recognized. It's kind of whatever to sleep in your car. So I'm in the back of the parking lot. I am woken by andale, andale, andale.
Oh, really?
So I don't know what this, I'm trying to be respectful, but this van full of people speaking Spanish pulled up right behind me. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like way out here so that I wouldn't be bothered. And, this van full of andale, andale parked next to me or behind me. And then, of course, it woke me up. But yes.
They're lucky ICE wasn't around.
You know what? I almost called him on my phone.
You probably should have.
Mm-hmm. And people are asking me, what is the word of the day, which I don't really understand. I didn't know we had a word of the day. Do we have a word of the day? Have we ever done a word of the day, or is that another show?
Of. I think actually that, doesn't Murphy do something like that?
Does Murphy do a word of the day? I know he does nincompoops in the news. And I know that he does daily updates on where I nap around town.
I think he does one.
Does he do a word of the day? I know that he does the podcast with Cameron. All the best words.
All the best words, yeah.
Which isn't better than Mostly Peaceful from what I hear.
So Cringe Jean-Pierre is back, and she's got a new look. Joan, how would you, and need some video here, guys. How would you describe this look? So she's got like, now you know the old Cringe, right? She had a perm, I think you would call it. And now her hair is straight. What I don't know is this like a wig or what's going on? I have no idea. What would you say, Joan?
No, I think she just straightened her hair. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember how she had that, the clownish thing where her hair stuck out?
Yeah.
And I guess that was her way of making herself stand out. I don't know. So now I think she's just straightened it.
I didn't know because her hair was, I mean, this is stupid, but I didn't realize her hair was pretty tight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that must be a Herculean effort to straighten that hair.
There's
And it looks like she's got a little like brightened or something as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Who cares? You know what? So she's got a new book, and I have not heard this audio yet. But from what I understand, there's like Fun with Audio with KGB or with Cringe Jean-Pierre, KJ, whatever. Anyway, so this is Cringe
Just go with
Jean-Pierre.
Cringe.
I'll go with Cringe.
Yeah.
And she's on with a podcaster, and she's trying to defend herself.
We did have legislative wins.
Sure,
And
but he
that
didn't
is-
talk about him that well, though. He couldn't talk about
he-
him. He
but
wasn't campaigning
no,
that
no, no.
vigorously.
So this podcaster is obviously trying to figure out, and by the way, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, super duper awkward close-up of Cringe Jean-Pierre.
Yeah.
I mean, super duper, like she's got to know she's young and she's, I'm assuming she is technically, knows what she's doing. Why is she so awkwardly close up on this Zoom call with this podcaster? But the dude is saying, listen, Biden wasn't out there talking to the media about these legislative wins.
Wait, first of all, he did talk about them, whether it broke through or not. He did, Tim. He did talk about.
I mean, he talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences.
Do you know what she's doing, Joan? Do you remember when Don Lemon called her out? And she's like, oh, Don.
Yeah.
She's doing the same thing to whoever this dude Tim is.
Just be real. Like he didn't do debate events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're doing. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good.
Go get her, Tim. Go get her.
He sounded very
maybe
old.
you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled.
No, he didn't.
And did domestic travel and talked directly to the American people.
What a liar. Oh, my goodness
Why
gracious.
does she feel the need to continue to defend him? I'm not sure I
That's
understand
the crazy
this.
thing, Joan. I have no idea.
If I were her, I'd be running from that like crazy.
Well, yeah, because it's her downfall.
Yeah.
But see, I think that what's happening is that, and this one is titled, and again, I have not heard this audio yet. This one is titled Stephen Colbert Turns, they say, on Cringe Jean-Pierre. And so I think part of what's going on is that they're mad at her because she threw the Democrat Party under the bus. And so they're angry with her because she is now an independent. And they see that as bad for the party. So that's why there is this pushback as she's doing this book tour, is because they're mad at her because perhaps they see that, or they believe that she is disloyal. Now, this is Stephen Colbert and Cringe Jean-Pierre. I don't know if this is last night or when this was, but last couple of nights.
I saw a guy who I had not seen backstage at the benefit that I did. It seemed like a dramatically different person. And at 81 years old, that's not entirely unexpected.
They're talking about Biden, obviously.
You can imagine why people got so worried.
So, a couple of things.
Now, remember, it is her contention she's angry with the Democrat Party for turning on Joe Biden. Remember, that's her thing. She's angry with the Democrat Party because they turned on Joe Biden, she says.
I got to see Joe Biden almost every day. And this is a question that I take very seriously. No one has ever said he hasn't aged. No one ever said that. He would make jokes about it. He would acknowledge it. And he would say, yes, I know I don't speak this as well as I used to. I don't walk as well as I used to. No one is saying that he didn't age. I'm talking about, did he have the questions that I was getting, the mental acuity? Was he able to govern? And the man that I saw nearly every day.
One person, Joe,
Yeah.
did you hear that?
That was probably her wife, girlfriend, whatever
Publicist.
it is.
That's her publicist.
Yeah.
Do you know what's so funny, though? Like, if you listen to what she's saying under the, I don't know, prism or whatever, of where we are right now, knowing what we know about the auto pen, and knowing what we know about the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, books literally have been written by, well, I'm not going to say esteemed journalists, so-called journalists like with Jake Tapper, right? They've written books on the lies of the Biden administration.
After defending them for forever.
But my point is that she is sticking to the same script that she had 2 years ago. And everybody knows that she's lying. And so we, Joan, you and I, and everybody listening knew what was going on with Biden. But this lands differently knowing that there's so many people in the media now who do understand that there was this plot within the Biden administration to hide his decline in cognitive decline, to hide it. And so it feels like, oh my God, are you really still going with this?
Was someone who was engaging, understood policy, and was always putting the American people first. And it showed. It showed in what we were able to get done.
This is where apparently Colbert is like, because you can tell in his body language, he's like, oh, honey, no, you're not going here. You're not putting me in this position, right?
Remember, I saw him
I don't think
nearly
anybody
every
questioned
day.
his heart or his policies,
not even-
but it takes more than that to be the president of the United States. In a moment of great pressure on stage, we saw someone shock us and worry us, and nothing could assuage that worry. So I don't think it was necessarily a betrayal of Joe Biden as other people saying, we don't think we were shown the Joe Biden that you saw.
I saw every day a really ugly assault on someone who had 50+ years of experience and who, again, objectively had done a good job as president of the United States.
She is just...
Yeah.
She is on crack. She is on crack.
She lives in like an alternate universe, which is what happens to people with TDS. They don't see the same things you and I see. And it goes back to, remember the dress? Whether you saw the dress as blue or white. Do you remember that dress?
Yes, I remember that whole thing.
I mean, we're all looking at the same thing, and we're seeing a blue dress, and you could say, I see a white dress. We're looking at the very same thing.
Well, and the thing with Colbert, he's like, oh my goodness, we were shocked at that night.
Yeah.
With the debate. I wasn't. Were you shocked? I wasn't shocked.
No, but they're consuming news in weird ways. So they're watching MSNBC, they're watching CNN, but they're not watching anything objective. They're not flipping through the channels trying to find the other side.
Objective is a great word because I believe that our side is more objective than the other side. I do. And I think that and I know that the hate listeners out there are like, ha, no way. But I do. I believe that our side is far more objective than the Democrat side. Now, they may have, because of the spanking that they got, I think that, they've been maybe spanked into reality a little bit. But, I mean, cringe at Jean-Pierre, she's still back in, 2023.
And it was heartbreaking to see that type of behavior.
I think all of that, everything you're saying, I cannot fault the factual basis of what you're saying or your feelings about it. Yeah. But what happened was the debate performance. Everything is downstream of that.
And no one is saying that the debate performance wasn't shocking, wasn't a disappointment. No one is saying that.
Disappointment is such a light term.
I use your words.
It was harrowing.
I use your words.
Okay, look, listen, we're never going to agree on this.
We're not.
Other than the fact that I'm glad that you came here tonight and
I
telling me to wrap over there. Would you like to say one more thing before we go?
But I do think that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, she's still pushing.
She was so she actually, in the video stopped, she actually grabbed his hand.
Oh.
So here's what I'm noticing with Cringe Jean-Pierre is that when she is disagreeing with you, when there's some sort of a disagreement, she'll say, oh, but Stephen, oh, but Don, oh, but Tim, right?
Yeah.
So, and I've always said when somebody uses your name in a sentence, like, well, Dan.
It's a little aggressive, right?
It is a little. I got an email yesterday from somebody, and it was a perfectly fine email that I sent. And I got the equivalent of a well, Dan, back.
Oh, really?
And I couldn't understand why. because I am of that opinion that when somebody uses your name in a sentence, typically it is either passive aggressive or aggressive. Am I wrong on that?
I don't think so.
Like when when my wife gets mad at me, she'll use my name in a sentence.
Does she use your middle name?
No, that was reserved for my mother.
Yes. I do that with my kids.
Do you use your husband's middle name when you're mad at him?
Well, no.
My Amy knows my middle name. I think she forgets it from time to time.
What is your middle name?
Angelo.
Daniel? Is it Daniel?
Daniel Angelo. Yeah, that's my
Angelo.
Yeah. Let me know if you like my social security number.
Hold on.
Would you like my mother's maiden name?
Yeah.
Go ahead, take my credit. It sucks. I'm just kidding.
But see, you're Daniel Angelo
Mandis. Yeah. D-A-M.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's right. And that can be interpreted either damn good or bad. I'll take it as a good thing, Joan.
Right. Okay.
All right. It is 5:20. I should say 5:53. Joan's got the news. By the way, Joan, what's your middle name?
My middle name is Pauline.
Pauline?
Pauline. Yeah.
Okay. Joan Pauline Jones. You're like JPJ.
So, well, my parents had this thing. All of us are JPJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. They thought that was funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing like
jokes on us.
Nothing like a parents with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
All right, gotta go. 5:53, and Joan has the news. Joan Pauline is coming up with the news. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll take a look at who killed a teenager, or the effort to find who killed the teenager at a troubled Bellevue apartment complex coming up here. Stick around for that and more at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:58 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Watch us on YouTube, X, 997WTN.com, Rumble, and anywhere else you want. Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
Have you are you familiar with the current poop traversy?
Yes.
The Donald Trump poop traversy?
I am.
That he has managed to raise the ire of Kenny Loggins with his poop traversy?
Yes. And
this is so silly.
I'm so disappointed. I loved Kenny Loggins and Loggins and Messina in the day.
Yep.
And this really bothers me that he's so uptight about this.
The dude is so uptight. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about, here's what I would suggest. We're going to describe it, but we will, on Super Talk TV, we're going to show you what exactly is the Donald Trump poop traversy. By the way, you can copyright that and make a nickel every time somebody says that. Whatever. All right. It is 5:59 coming up on 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 61 right now, and we're going up to near 73 with the sunshine today. In the news, Metro Nashville police looking for the person who shot and killed a teenager at a Bellevue apartment complex. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Here at the Forest Park Apartments, there have been 2 homicides, and that's just in the past week. According to the Metro Police data dashboard, over the last 3 years, there have been more than 50 incidents here.
She also says that crime maps show in less than 3 years, there have been 37 assaults, 12 larcenies, 6 auto thefts, and 6 burglaries, including bullets flying into an apartment from a neighboring apartment. Forest Park Apartments put in new security cameras and lighting recently. The shooting of a pedicab rider last week is renewing conversation about self-defense. The pedicab driver told police he was punched by one rider and shot another one as that man charged at the driver. Attorney David Rabin telling Channel 4 that Tennessee's stand your ground laws come into play here.
The key is it has to be reasonable at the time, and you have to have an immediate fear. You can't just shoot somebody because you say, well, 3 weeks from now they're going to kill me or something like that. It has to be right then.
No charges so far. That investigation continues. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Encouraging earnings reports helped to fire up stocks on Monday. The S&P began the week with a 1% rise. The Nasdaq picked up 1.4%. The Dow Jones surged 516 points yesterday to close at 46,706. After a massive outage that throttled the online activity of some of the biggest companies in the world, Amazon Web Services says things are back to normal now. The problem was centered on the AWS data centers in Northern Virginia. Slapped with a series of civil lawsuits, Roblox now faces an investigation into alleged criminal activity. The Florida Attorney General is issuing subpoenas calling the gaming platform a breeding ground for child predators. Kenny Loggins has not filed suit, but he is demanding that President Trump remove the song Danger Zone from a Truth Social post. In it, Trump is depicted as a fighter pilot dumping brown sludge on crowds of No Kings demonstrators. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
That's brown sludge. Dow futures right now are down 16. NASDAQ futures minus 22. The S&P futures down 2.5. That is the latest news. Traffic coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. 40 westbound right now before Donaldson Pike. You know, this is out at the airport. An accident stuck in the right shoulder there. Antioch, it's Anderson Road at Owendale Drive. Police are on the scene of an accident there. Also, if you're in Humphreys County, this is in Houston, Tennessee 13, south of Tennessee 231. You've got an accident. It's a vehicle and a deer collision. So just be careful. And that's a good reminder that this is that season. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to a Tuesday, October 21st of 2025. So this might be one of my favorite stories of the day. Now, I did not see this until last night, where, you know, the No Kings protest over the weekend on Saturday. Donald Trump, actually, in response, he did a number of different things, but somebody made a video of Donald Trump, and he's flying he's flying like a fighter jet kind of a thing, and he's in the plane, and he's dropping what looks like poop on protesters. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, he's flying the plane. There goes, all of the fecal matter, and it lands right on the heads of these protesters. Now, you can do, isn't AI just incredible, Joan? I mean, it actually looks.
When it lands on Harry, what's his name? Harry Sisson?
I guess.
When it lands on him, that's funny.
And he got all, be hurt as well. And I find it very funny. Oh, it's not presidential, they will say. Who cares? This is why Donald Trump is so, what's the right word? Engaged. This is why Donald Trump is so engaged. And so Kenny Loggins, of course, you can hear Kenny Loggins there. And he is now speaking out against President Trump and his use of the song Danger Zone in an AI video responding to widespread No Kings protests. On Saturday, October 18th, the president took to Truth Social to share an AI-generated video showing him in a fighter jet dumping what appeared to be fecal matter on these protesters, including Harry Sisson.
I think it's Sisson.
Is it Sisson? Yeah. What does he do? Is he like a singer?
He's a social media guy.
Oh, whatever.
Did you hear? I don't know if you were listening.
He's a bought and paid for DNC clown.
Is he a bought and paid for DNC clown? Okay. What were you going to say, Joan?
I don't know if you were listening, but there was, I did the Wall Street report, the Beacon Capital Management report, and the reporter actually brought up this situation. You want to hear how he describes the goo?
Yes, the goo. Go ahead.
Watch this.
The poop-traversy.
Oh, he's not going to go.
From a Truth Social post. In it, Trump is depicted as a fighter pilot dumping brown sludge on crowds of No Kings demonstrators.
Brown sludge.
Brown sludge, is that what we call it now?
We call it brown sludge.
You know what? Maybe it's supposed to be brown sludge and we didn't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's
But you know what I say about these No Kings protesters is they're full of crap. Or at least it's on them.
I mean, he's not just the commander-in-chief. He's the troller-in-chief.
Oh, absolutely. He is the troller-in-chief. So anyway, Kenny Loggins is now saying this. Because he's all upset because Trump used his because Trump used the audio. And so here's what he says. This is an unauthorized use of my performance of Danger Zone. Nobody asked me for my permission, which I would have denied. He said, I request that my recording on this video be removed immediately. I can't imagine, he says, why anybody would want their music used or associated with something created with the sole purpose of dividing us, he says. Now, for the record, I don't know the political proclivities of Kenny Loggins. Do you? I don't.
I think we know now.
Maybe. You know, in fairness to Kenny Loggins, he could be apolitical. He could be apolitical. I don't know. And he may not just want his song used in such a divisive way. He says, too many people are trying to tear us apart, and we need to find new ways to come together. Do you know, I think the No Kings rally, I think that it did, bring conservatives together because we're all laughing at them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not angry, although I do have some audio from a particular woman at the No Kings rally that is particularly infuriating that I am going to get to. But Kenny Loggins, in wrapping this up, he says, we're all Americans. We're all patriotic. There is no us and them. I actually think that there is. Would you say there is, Joan? I think there's an us and a them. I'm okay with that.
Yes, I think it needs to be said.
Yes. Like, I don't want to be us with them.
I don't want to be them.
I really don't want to be them because they're covered in poop. I mean, whatever. Anyway, he goes on and on, but he says, it's all of us. We're in this together, and it is my hope that we can embrace music as a way of celebrating and uniting each and every one of us. Okay, Kenny. Whatever. I get what he's saying. I do understand that. But you got to have some fun. And here's the other thing that I would say. Kenny, do you know how many really young people have now discovered your song Danger Zone? I mean, a lot, because I bet you there's a lot of, young kids, 12, 13, 14, that have never heard Danger Zone. So we've been there, done that. But there were a lot of morons that were at the No Kings rally, obviously rallies across America. There's one woman, this really is horrifying. There is a woman that was interviewed by a social media star. What is her name? I'm going to get her name, but real quick, I want you to listen very closely to this audio of a woman at a No Kings rally and what she has to say about Charlie Kirk, who she admits that she's never even met him.
Members. Whatever his name was.
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
The woman says that, what's his name? What's his name? I'm glad that he's dead. Doesn't even know his name. More than likely couldn't even pick Charlie Kirk out of a lineup. And I absolutely love how this influencer responds to this woman. And I'm going to give you a hint as to where we're going with this. The woman realizes that she stepped in it. Details straight ahead. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, sunny today, a high of 71, breezy this afternoon, getting down into the mid-40s tonight. So I'm playing you, and this is probably really the only real thing that I'm going to do on the No Kings protest. I think that we've all heard a lot of the audio. We know what the No Kings protests were, which were absolutely silly and nothing. But I love how this woman, her name is Caitlin Bennett, and she is a social media influencer. She is conservative, and she was out there asking questions. And this woman, no idea who Charlie Kirk was, what he stood for, probably doesn't even know what he looks like, could barely remember his name, but she's glad that he's dead.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
What, if she would die?
I don't know.
Excuse me?
No, I don't know you, but I didn't know him either. But he was not a good person.
He would go to college campuses?
I don't know him. I don't know you. But I certainly don't know him. But I know that he's not a good person. What kind of a moron says something like that, especially knowing that a camera's on you? I mean, they like, and I've said this ad nauseum, the Democrat Party, these people, they are a death cult. They are a death cult.
And he would think he got shot because he wasn't a good person.
He was shot because he wasn't a good person.
I do the exact same thing that he does.
Well,
I believe, I believe, and he is a moderate compared to me. You would be happy if I got shot on a public college campus?
Okay, no, baby, no.
See, this is where she starts backpedaling. This is where she's like, all right, I may have stepped in it. I may be sounding a little too harsh.
You have got to watch the things you say.
And Caitlin's got her finger like pointing in the woman's face. I love this because the woman clearly, absolutely showing not only, of course, the woman's ignorance, but in my opinion, the ignorance of a lot of these folks that were at the No Kings protests or rallies or whatever you want to call them last weekend.
Because what you just did, that's disgusting. Don't point my finger at her, ma'am. You have got to watch the things you say. That is awful, ma'am. And I don't believe that you actually mean that. I think your feelings are heightened right now.
I don't mean it, but he was a horrible person.
How was he a horrible person?
Because what he was doing to our students, what he was promoting was horrible.
What was he promoting?
Right. Yeah, I'm done with you.
So now she's done with him. I'm done with you. No dialogue for you. Because this Caitlin Bennett is calling her out. You see, a lot of these folks at these rallies, they actually have no idea that there's people that would disagree with them. And I love don't point at another person. Is pointing at a person, Joan, is that some sort of an insult these days? I've never heard that before. Don't point at her. Don't point your finger at her. It's like, why not?
If you're pointing that finger real close to somebody or touching their chest with it, that kind of pointing.
Well, if somebody's touching the chest, but that's different.
Right.
Caitlin Bennett is not close to this woman. And she is hiding her face. By the way, midway through the video, she realizes how ignorant she sounds. So now she's like hiding her face because she knows that she's on camera saying such a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And again, these people live in such a bubble, my opinion. These people live in such a bubble that they have no idea that there is another side. And this kind of rhetoric, I mean, I think we all know this kind of rhetoric is dangerous.
What was he promoting, ma'am?
Be done with her. She's pointing a finger in your face.
Yes, you're a horrible person yourself.
So now Caitlin Bennett is a horrible person herself because she has the audacity to ask a question. My word.
Point your finger in my face and coming to...
Here's what's funny. So this woman is like, don't you point your finger in my face, as she's pointing her finger at Caitlin Bennett. That's funny.
This peaceful demonstration. Why would you... And put it in my face.
Go down the road here.
I am utterly speechless right now.
I thought that was funny. And I don't know who this woman is. I don't know if there is any, I don't know if she's been doxxed. I don't know any of that. But I love that Caitlin Bennett, simply by asking a question, this woman comes out with, I didn't know him, but I'm glad he's dead. And I hate to say it, but I mean, let's be honest. When it comes to people on the left, that kind of thinking, that ignorance is and was on full display last weekend. So good for Caitlin and this woman. Shame on this woman for saying what she said. And again, she knew that she messed up because eventually she put her really well-made cardboard sign in front of her face. And it's like, well, too late. Already saw it. Already know who you are. It is 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan, what's coming up in the news at 6:30?
President Trump gets a big win from an appeals court. That story coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here. Listen, the holidays are coming up, and if you want to look and feel your best, if you want to look and feel confident, get in touch with my friends at Contours and get one of those belly buster specials. You know who's doing a belly buster special for the first time today? Murphy Show. He's going to Contours today, as a matter of fact. I cannot wait to hear Matt's journey as he goes through the belly buster specials from Contours. Now, you can too. Special price right now, 615-236-9960. First 10 callers right now get that belly buster special for just $99. Taking advantage of Contours' red light technology, it is unique, it is effective, and it is yours for $99. If you are one of the first 10 callers, call right now at 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Been talking about Contours for a long time now. Most people lose a couple of inches across the middle, and you've got to call them right now if you want to try it as well, taking advantage of that cutting-edge red light technology. 615-236-9960. If you want to know what it's all about, find them online. It is contoursllc.com. That is contoursllc.com. Contours, all you've got to lose is inches. Dan Mandis here, 623, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Mark Spain Real Estate. Skip the hassles of a traditional home sale and sell your home quickly with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Just a guaranteed offer. We're going to make the most money and no stress thanks to that guaranteed offer. No hassle with Mark Spain Real Estate. Now, they are the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. They've got over 13,000 five-star reviews. You can trust my friends and sell your home quickly and for maximum profit with Mark Spain Real Estate. They've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years, and they've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. So call them, Mark Spain Real Estate. Maybe you found your dream home, but you've got to get out of your current home first. Mark Spain Real Estate, they can help you. 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. You can find them online anytime. Get a guaranteed offer. There's no obligation. Get a guaranteed offer today on your home. 855-299-SOLD, markspain.com. That's markspain.com, and start packing. I love this. So Don Lemon had this Harry Sisson on talking about the poop-troversy with Donald Trump and the whole thing with Kenny Loggins and Trump and this AI-generated video dropping what seems to be like fecal matter on the No Kings protesters, including Harry Sisson right up front. So, of course, he is on with Don Lemon. I want you to, as you're listening to the words of old Harry here, realize that these are the same people that applauded the death of Charlie Kirk, applaud 8647, and love to talk about how MAGA equals Nazis, okay? So think about all that as you've got Harry Sisson here as he is pearl clutching over Donald Trump sharing an AI-generated video of him dropping what seems to be like fecal matter on a whole bunch of these No Kings protesters.
Yeah, I think this is actually bigger than me. I know that this video was attacking me, but there were also millions of Americans that were also displayed in that video, also getting attacked by the president of the United States. So he's attacking me in a petty, gross, disgusting way. But I think the more concerning story.
Do you know what I think Harry would be most offended by? There's probably a lot of people that had no idea who he was. That would probably be the most offensive thing.
Here is that, I think this is his genuine feelings toward peaceful protest, that if he could, he would attack in some way, shape, or form the people who dissent. So
I wonder what he said about Trump's 2 assassination attempts, or I wonder what old Harry said when Donald Trump got a shot in the ear. I wonder what he had to say about Charlie Kirk.
I don't think that this is it's just about me or like the gross attack. I think this is a broader, more concerning story surrounding the Trump admin.
Oh, the pearl clutching. Oh, my goodness. It is very funny. All right. Hey, coming up next, maybe I'll ask Matthew Hurt about his feelings on this poop-troversy and a whole lot more. He's going to join us at 6:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has overturned a temporary restraining order that prevented the Trump administration from deploying the National Guard to Portland, Oregon.
Very likely that the United States Supreme Court will side the same way that the Ninth Circuit did in Portland, and they will say that Congress gave the president the power to decide this, and it cannot be the role of judges to second guess his decision on what the facts mean in terms of whether he is able to enforce federal law, which is what Congress told the president he had to make the decision based on. The judges don't get to decide whether the president is able to enforce federal law.
That's ABC's Sarah Isgar. Now, there is still a broader order that prohibits any state's National Guard from deploying into Portland. That one remains in effect. When Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, when he goes on trial in January, his lawyers want potential jurors to answer questions that they have created to get their views on illegal immigration. Now, the Tennessee Star is reporting that questionnaire asked jurors where they get their news, including which radio stations they listen to, implying that they could remove that potential juror for being prejudiced. Abrego Garcia is standing trial on human smuggling charges for the 2022 traffic stop in which he was seen transporting other illegal aliens from Texas to Maryland. New scrutiny on the popular gaming platform Roblox.
Florida's Attorney General is issuing criminal subpoenas against Roblox, the popular online gaming company, citing alleged abuse of children by online predators. The Attorney General claims the platform does not properly verify the age of users and fails to moderate explicit content.
ABC's Mola Lengi there. In its defense, Roblox says it has already blocked sharing images and videos in its chat feature, and it says it does use filters to block the exchange of personal information. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here at 6:32. And listen, there's a great way to increase the value of your home. A bathroom upgrade from my friends at Zentex. Now, this is a great company that has a great deal just for my listeners. Now, stay tuned for that. But here's what they specialize in, and they can do a lot of things. I focus on the fact that they can convert your bathtub into a walk-in shower. Now, they can do that, and for my listeners, you get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. Syntex. They have won awards for ethics from the Better Business Bureau, and last year they were voted one of the best places to work in the construction industry. And happy employees mean great customer service. So upgrade your home, upgrade your bathroom with my friends from Zintex, and don't forget that great deal. You can get $999 off or 0% interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. And you mentioned WTN, you get a free Kohler toilet with your purchase. Find them online at Zintex.com, Zintex, Zintex.com. That is Zintex.com. Dan Mandis here for USS United Structural Systems. I was a customer before I was an endorser. These folks have been around for a long time, helping folks out with waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. This is a great company, and yes, they've helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. Now, I am one of 30,000 satisfied customers, and they can help you as well. United Structural Systems, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer. Now, they can help you with a lot of things for your home, but specifically basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.
There's an accident on 65 in the southbound lanes right now. It's at Trinity Lane, exit 87. The right shoulder is blocked off, but it looks like they've just now cleared those lanes and pushed the accident to the right shoulder. Still some delays around that area. And they're still working on that accident 40 westbound at Donaldson Pike, exit 216B. That also is in the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.636 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Senator Marsha Blackburn is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Senator, always great to have you on. Of course, also gubernatorial candidate as well. Senator, appreciate you joining us. Let's talk first. It is, day 21 now of this government shutdown. I don't know. Do you see any end to this shutdown? I sense that Schumer might be getting a little nervous.
I think that some of the Democrats are beginning to get a little bit nervous, and they should be. The No Kings rallies were not the smashing success they had thought they were going to be. And now they're big to say, Schumer is beginning to say, well, we can't make a deal now because it would look like we're caving in. And we continue to say, no, open the government. This is getting to be ridiculous. And they're saying, well, but the premium notices for Obamacare go out on November 1st. And we want to keep it shut down until then because we want to supercharge Obamacare. And bear in mind, Dan, they have said from the beginning, Obamacare was a step in the right direction to single-payer health care. That is their goal, and that's what they're aiming for. So we have to keep that in mind. And the American people are looking at this and saying, okay, so you want government-run health care, you want to give health care to illegal aliens, you don't want to pay the troops, and you're looking to unpack some of the provisions like having to work for able-bodied adults to work 20 hours a week if they're going to get Medicaid and Social Security. And the American people and Tennesseans, I can tell you, in large numbers are saying absolutely not. Don't give in to the Democrats.
Senator, one of the things that I think bears repeating is that all the Republicans want to do is reopen the government so that you can continue the conversation. The Democrats are intentionally keeping the government closed because they believe that this is somehow a winning hand. Although I will tell you, and I told folks this earlier, that polling shows that the American people are blaming the Democrats for this. But talk about that dynamic where all the Republicans want to do is get the government open, pay the troops, make sure that everybody gets paid, and ultimately continue the conversation. But the Democrats are just keeping the government closed.
That's exactly right. And these funding numbers, this is a clean continuing resolution. That means that there's no additional spending. There's nothing to negotiate. Dan, these are the numbers they have voted for not once, not twice, but 5 times. 5 times. And what we're trying to do is get off a Biden budget onto a Republican-led Congress budget. We've already done 3 of the bills, the appropriations bills. The others are ready to go on the floor, and they're saying, no, I don't think so. I think what we're going to do is just keep the government shut down. And because they want to get one more step closer to government-run health care and give health care to illegal aliens and remove any work requirements to get benefits. And as I told my colleagues yesterday, I said, look, Tennesseans have been through this song and dance. We know this ruse because we had a 4-year battle in our state over a state income tax because we had a bloated TennCare program, pardon me, that had gone into place in 1995. And then after 5 years, it was too expensive to afford. So therefore, you can't ever put enough money in there to pay for these programs that mandate you put everything into an insurance policy, and you might not use that. So then if you're trying to cover everything, it's worth nothing. So the way to fix this is to do things like choice and options and competition, and to make certain that you've got health savings accounts and let people buy what they want. And instead of the subsidy, which is what they're arguing over, going to the insurance company and making the insurance companies fat and rich, why don't you say to those that need a subsidy to get a product, here is a subsidy for you, buy something you can afford. But see, they don't want to do that. They want the government, they want to team up with the insurance companies and say those 2 entities are going to decide what you can get, not you, the consumer. having choice and options.
Well, in California's Medi-Cal, of course, as you know, Senator, they are now covering illegal aliens in California. And if Gavin Newsom ultimately ends up running for president, I can guarantee you that is something that is going to come up. Real quickly, Senator, last on the shutdown, you've got 750,000 federal employees. They've been furloughed. President Trump has now decided that he is going to eliminate some jobs and some agencies that he's had in the crosshairs for quite some time. Some of those agencies, the EPA's Office of Research and Development, multiple divisions within the Department of Education, some fair housing offices out of HUD, World Health Organization funding, and a lot more. That just scratches the surface. Do you predict that the Democrats are going to come after President Trump to try to claw back some of those portions of the federal government that President Trump is trying to eliminate permanently?
Oh, of course they are. And I mean, my goodness, look at what they've done after the big, beautiful bill. They're right now trying to claw that back. We put provisions in the big, beautiful bill that says if you're in the country illegally, you can't get health care. We put provisions in there that said if you're going to get benefits and you're able-bodied, you're going to work 20 hours a week. They don't like that. We shut down NPR, ended the funding for that. They're trying to put that back in place. See, they want $1.5 trillion in new spending in order to keep the government open through November 21st. And what we're saying is no. And if it is shut down, the president is within his right to begin to eliminate these agencies. It is like Doge on steroids. And so I talked to Russ Vought a little bit last week. I was down at the White House for Charlie Kirk's memorial and the Medal of Freedom. And I told him, I said, I talk to Tennesseans every single day, and there are many people that are saying if the government is shut down, then these agencies and these non-essential employee positions need to be eliminated. And, Dan, they're going to have the Senate is going to be back down at the White House today. We're going to do lunch with the president down there and looking forward to a good conversation about what we're doing. And people are realizing Obamacare is too expensive to afford. These subsidies, these enhanced subsidies that they put in place, some of those are $0 premium subsidies. And they took the income caps off. And that means you can be making $250,000 a year and go to the exchange and get a subsidy. And hardworking taxpayers are paying for that. That has got to stop. Everybody needs to pay some premium. And the way they have structured this Obamacare marketplace does not work. The lack of transparency is terrible. And the amount of mandates. Why should young single men be paying for maternity care? Why should teetotalers be paying for alcohol treatment? There are things that don't make sense. Let people buy what they want that suits their needs that they can afford.
Senator, you have, in other news, sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi asking for an investigation into Jack Smith, who spied on members of Congress, including you. Have you received any response back from Pam Bondi? Is there any update on that story?
I've been in communication with AG Bondi. We do not have at this point a formal response to the request. We do anticipate we'll get that before too much longer. We do anticipate that Jack Smith will be referred to the Office of Professional Conduct. And at that point, we will be able to use that review to refer to the Tennessee bar and the New York bar where he's licensed to practice law. He should be disbarred. People that carried out this spy effort on 8 sitting U.S. senators, they should be held to account. to the full extent of the law. What they did is illegal.
Yes.
It is an infringement of our First and Fourth Amendment rights, of our speech and debate clause, of the Stored Records Act, of the separation of powers. And indeed, it was truly wrong. The commonality is we all support President Trump. We all are Republicans, and we each had questions about the 2020 election. And that's the commonality that is there. And we know it was a fishing expedition. And Jack Smith, and I'll say this, the good thing is Kash Patel fired every single person that was involved in that unit with Jack Smith. It's called a CR-15 unit. He fired them all.
Yeah.
And did it on the spot. I am pleased that he did. But we will get to the bottom of this. I'm grateful that the FBI and DOJ have taken this up and are conducting an investigation. We need to end this two tiers of justice, and this should never happen to U.S. citizens. And if they are doing this, the sitting members of Congress, what are they doing to other conservatives? We know they went after parents that were going to school board meetings. We know they went after Catholics. We know they went after pro-lifers. And the list goes on. And the two tiers of justice and the way the Biden administration handled the DOJ and the FBI should never happen to anyone again.
We'll have to leave it there, Senator, but always appreciate having you on. And there are some gubernatorial things that I want to speak to you about next time. So I'm going to have my people talk to your people and get you back on to talk about some statewide issues. And I appreciate you joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open at 615-737-9986. Dan Mandis here. You know, the weather here in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Super Center, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Now, you can get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Super Center does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. They are not going to leave you in the dark. And yes, financing is available. When the power is out, the Generator Super Center is going to make sure that your power is on. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. You can find them online anytime. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News. Jones got the news coming up at 7. Joan.
Yeah, the ceasefire is holding, but it's pretty tenuous in the Middle East this morning. Also, President Trump tearing up the White House. Literally. We've got those stories and more at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. All right, you want to do a real quick, because I've only got a couple of minutes here, but we've been having some fun with Cringe Jean-Pierre and her book tour that she is doing, and need some video here. Gents, she was on, I guess, CBS Mornings, and she's talking about leaving the Democratic Party, but they kind of corner her on the whole Joe Biden was just fine narrative that she is out there trying to put forward. And here's what she has to say, and for some reason, I don't hear the audio. Is my audio up? Audio up, coming your way in 3, 2, 1.
I was saying, because I too thought that. And you said, people said, why didn't members of his inner circle speak up about what many believe was the apparent decline of Joe Biden? And you said, you're a member of the inner circle and you never saw the decline. And after that, I wrote, how? Yeah. You even write, Karine, that you were on the plane with him going to the debate and you didn't see anything.
Well, when we were on the Air Force One going to the debate, you got to remember his campaign people were on the team, his family was on the team. I actually was one of those rare trips that I didn't really see him until after the debate, even though I was on the plane. So really, I want everybody to know that I take this question incredibly seriously.
I don't think that she does. I don't think that she does, because she doesn't really seem to understand, have a sense that people saw for their own eyes, with their own eyes, and heard with their own ears.
And she's making excuses there. Oh, there were so many people on the plane.
Right.
Wow.
So she's like, okay, I was on the plane with him, but there are a lot of other people on the plane too. So you're right. She's trying to, number one, she tried to make herself seem bigger than she is by saying, well, I was on the plane with the president. But then they're saying, well, you were on the plane with him. Why didn't you notice anything? And she says, well, there are a lot of other people on the plane, too. It's not about the plane ride. We all saw what was going on with Joe Biden.
I do. I was his White House press secretary, which means I had a role that saw him practically every day and traveled with him.
And you saw nothing.
For more than 95%. We've always said, we're not going to say, oh, he didn't age. He aged. And he poked fun at it. We always owned up. And with age comes what happens when you get older.
Which is?
But when we talk about the mental acuity. And
she wouldn't answer the question. And it's kind of funny, too, because I have not heard this audio, but she says, you know, when you age, whatever she said, these things happen. And it's like, okay, but what? And she doesn't answer the question. Oh, darn it. I've got like a minute left of this audio, Joan.
We can play more after the break.
Do you want to see if she actually answers the question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it now.
Okay.
We'll do it after the top of the hour. Also got some news on Venezuela, got some news on Memphis, got some news on Israel and Hamas. All of that is coming up next. Very busy news morning here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories here. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be brittle after Hamas killed 2 Israeli soldiers and Israel struck back. Here's ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burridge in Tel Aviv.
On the ground in Gaza, it's not just Hamas and other Palestinian political parties like Fatah in Gaza, with Hamas being the dominant force. There are also clans, effectively very powerful families, which have had sway and influence in the Gaza Strip. But in the sort of power vacuum in Gaza because of the war, some of those families have been collaborating with the Israelis, and some of them have been armed by the Israeli government, but Hamas is also trying to take retribution against them and stamp its own authority on the ground to ensure that it is the dominant force on the ground going forward.
Meantime, Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance have arrived in Tel Aviv this morning. The vice president seeking to prevent the collapse of the peace deal. An hours-long standoff between Lebanon police and a man with multiple felony warrants ended peacefully yesterday. Channel 4's Jeremy Finley.
Police say Roger Watts barricaded himself inside a condo on Leeville Pike. He was wanted for several charges out of Wilson and Rutherford counties. Police say that Watts wouldn't come out, and when they were worried that he might be armed because nearby homes were evacuated and some schools were placed on soft lockdowns. After 4 to 5 hours, a SWAT team went inside the condo. They found Watts in the closet and arrested him without incident.
Now, Watts had been turned in by his roommate, who called police expressing concern about his well-being. Demolition crews have begun tearing down part of the White House to make room for President Trump's new $250 million ballroom. Legacy media reporters like ABC's Nicole D'Antonio are ginning up a new controversy over this project.
The redesign has moved forward despite lacking approval from the federal agency that oversees such projects. The White House says no permit is needed for the demolition phase, only for new construction. The official in charge of approvals, who was appointed by Trump, agrees. A government website says a White House inspection is scheduled today.
Now, since taking office, President Trump has added 24-karat gold leaf decorations, installed 88-foot flag poles. He redesigned the Rose Garden, and his most controversial change was swapping out the presidential portrait of Joe Biden with a photo of the auto pen. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got futures mostly pointing up. Dow futures plus 14, S&P futures up 1. NASDAQ futures, however, are down 4. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Couple of problems this morning on 40. Now, in the westbound lanes out at BAAACK, we've had an accident in the right shoulder pretty much all morning long. It's right at exit 216B for Donaldson Pike. Also in Dixon, this is Hickman County, 40 eastbound before Centerville-Dixon exit. That's number 163. Watch for an accident. Now, you've got accidents as well on 65, southbound side in Madison, past Old Hickory Boulevard. The right shoulder there blocked. Also in Metro Center, 65 southbound at the off-ramp to Rosa Parks Boulevard. It's partially blocking off a lane on the off-ramp. And then in Midtown, Charlotte Avenue at I-40, an accident, South Nashville, Fessler's Lane at Elm Hill Pike. Watch for police activity around an accident there, too. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to a Tuesday, October 21st. Hope you're doing well. Cringe Jean-Pierre, just to let you know where we're going this hour. I'm going to finish this conversation regarding former White House Press Secretary Cringe Jean-Pierre. She's getting absolutely blasted, so I've got about a minute and a half of this audio left to play, where people are asking her, how is it possible that you didn't notice Joe Biden's cognitive decline? So we're going to go there. Then J.D. Vance is either in Israel or on his way to Israel, and he has a few things to say about what is going on in the Middle East, as does Donald Trump, as Hamas continues their murderous ways. What is next for the terrorist group? Matthew Van Hurt is Matthew Van Hurt.
That was a good one, Dan.
That was good, wasn't it?
You just mashed them all together.
I did. So Matthew Hurt, right? Matthew Hurt is going to join us at, you know what? I've been listening to Cringe Jean-Pierre talk about like Biden's disintegrating brain.
Yeah.
And so suddenly I've got disintegrating brain
mission creep.
disease. It's exactly what it is. All right. So Matthew Hurt is going to join us at 7:35 on Super Talk. Matt Van Epps. Do you know why that happened, Joan? I just got a thing from a place that a press release talking about how Matt Van Epps is supportive of term limits in Congress.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll try to get him on. But
we need more of them.
Well, look at
like
Chuck
a lot
Schumer.
More. I know.
You got Chuck Schumer. You got Nancy. But did you see Nancy Pelosi? I shouldn't do this. Did you see Nancy Pelosi trying to tear up the crown?
Yeah.
And she couldn't do it. And so I think what happened is somebody helped her tear up the crown, and they had a cut, a super cut, as they say. So she's trying to tear up the crown.
The Burger
no
King
kings.
crown.
Yeah, the Burger King crown. And then she was having trouble, and then they cut the video, and then suddenly she's got it, torn apart.
Yeah.
The woman can't walk or tear up a Burger King crown.
You know what she was doing? She was reprising her role of tearing up, like she tore up the speech.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah. Yeah. She thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway.
I was rolling on the ground.
So Nancy Pelosi is, you know what, if there were, I mean, there's so many. I mean, Chuck Grassley on our side, on the Republican side. You got Chuck Grassley, who is, how old is Chuck Grassley?
Old.
Sam, how old is Chuck Grassley? Look that up for me, would you? That's why Sam hates working with me. But, I mean, Grassley, he sounds like he's 105.
He's 92.
92, man. Come on. So, but you know what the other side of that argument is, and I've said this forever, is that we have, term limits every 2 years. I mean, the people in the district can vote or in the Senate 6. But, I mean, you have people in every couple of years for the House. People can vote on whether or not they want their congressperson in that role. And so I'm not necessarily, I'm a little mushy, to be honest, on term limits. I look at somebody like, Chuck Grassley, who is clearly older, and he's got a sort of a halting way about him. But for the love of all that is holy, when you get to the point where if you're Mitch McConnell, I'll pick on my side, right? If you're Mitch McConnell and you keep freezing up and now you're falling in the hallways of Congress, dude, go home. Just go home. You shouldn't be here anymore. I mean, respectfully, you shouldn't. On the other side, Dianne Feinstein, how long was she, practically comatose before the people finally admitted that she had Alzheimer's, right? So I think that there might be somewhere in the middle where, okay, we don't necessarily need term limits because you know what? There's some really good Congress people out there who, I may not want to see them leave. Just because they've been in Congress for I don't know how long, whatever. So term limits. I'm all over the road on term limits. Are you pro or for? Are you pro or against term limits, Joan? I think you're probably for.
I am for them.
Of course you are.
It works in the case of governors
Yeah.
It works very well. You set your. I'm not in agreement, by the way, with just one term, which they do in Virginia, one term only.
For governors?
I'm pretty sure it's only one term.
Okay, fair.
But I do think that it helps move the narrative along, and it helps to stop this politically entrenched ideology from taking hold.
Do you know what else it does, Joan? And this is point for Joan, is that these guys are always worried about being reelected. You put the term limits in there, and they're not worried about being reelected. There's a story in The Hill, actually, where I'm going to gloss over it now, but there's a story in The Hill where the Democrats are really worried because they're watching and they're looking and they're seeing the polling that shows that people are blaming them for the shutdown. And so they're sort of rocking a hard place because they're afraid to anger the base, all the No Kings people out there that were doing the protesting. So they're afraid to anger the base, the Democrats. They're afraid to anger the base because then they're worried that they're going to be primaried. So they're basically effectively keeping the government shut down because they're afraid of what their base of voters will do to them. So if you take out, if you put in term limits and take out the whole I've got to go and be reelected and all that kind of stuff, well, then maybe that makes the government function better. Hey, Sam, let's do this. Hey, can we do a Daily Dan poll? Let's do a Daily Dan poll. Are you for, I want to phrase it the right way. Do you believe that the government would function better with term limits? Let's do that. Because I know that if I say, are you for or against term limits, most people will be for term limits. I'm squishy on it because I can make the argument on both sides. But I do believe, my official position on this, I guess, is that I do believe that the government probably would function better with term limits. I don't know. You think the government would function better with term limits?
Term and age limits.
No, I don't.
I don't
Scientific
agree.
fact that cognitive motor function declines after 75.
Yeah, but they don't drive themselves, Sam, you silly man.
Yeah, but they're making decisions that impact hundreds of millions of Americans with declining cognitive function.
I got the whole drive thing.
Yeah.
Sammy was making a joke.
Is that what he was doing?
You have to recognize the official joke of the official host of the official show.
I can't with that sweater.
I like his sweater.
I'm taking him too seriously.
All right, so for people who are actually listening on the radio, the thousands of people listening on the radio, I've officially broke out my Christmassy kind of sweater. And if you're dying to see it, if you're driving to work and listening on the radio, go check me out on YouTube if you would. It's actually, you'll get tired of it because I've got another one, Joan and Sam, just like it. And this means that my wardrobe is set 2 days out of every week from now till February.
Well, for now, you look like the love interest in a Hallmark story.
So have you started watching Hallmark movies? I mean, they started the countdown to Christmas. It's begun.
Joan.
It's happening.
You made me sit through 2 hours and 15 minutes of Phantom of the Opera. I don't want to hear it from you on Hallmark movies. Are we going to get to what I actually wanted to talk about this segment?
Yeah, go.
Oh, Lord. All right, cringe on Pierre. So she says that she takes this very seriously when she says that people are asking her about Joe Biden and her lack of ability to admit that she saw signs of cognitive decline in Joe Biden.
So really, I want everybody to know that I take this question incredibly seriously. I do. I was his White House press secretary, which means I had a role that saw him practically every day and traveled with him.
And you saw nothing.
For more than 95%. We've always said, we're not going to say, oh, he didn't age. He aged. And he poked fun at it. We always owned up. And with age comes what happens when you get older.
Which is?
But when we talk about the mental acuity, and
You'll notice she didn't answer the question. The guy said, she's talking about what happens when you get older. And the guy was like, which is? And she doesn't answer the question. We're going to get to the rest of her comment coming up, 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Midtown Charlotte Avenue, an accident at 40 South Nashville, Fessler's Lane. We've got a crash at Elm Hill.
716. Sunny today, a high of 71. Breezy in the afternoon, getting down to the mid-40s tonight. Joan, and you'll love this too, Sam. People want to put term limits on my sweater. Whatever. Here's more from Cringe Jean-Pierre.
Again, I take this very, very seriously.
Yeah.
I never saw anyone who wasn't there. I saw someone who was always engaged. I saw someone who understood policy, pushed us on the policy, and also understood history. And there were times, I'll tell you the story, there were times where he would call me into the Oval Office, and I would be like, oh no, because I knew whatever he was going to ask me was going to be direct, was going to be about a story he read, about how we're pushing back, how we're pushing a message forward.
And you write about the people within the party pushing him out. Some would describe those people fighting for a replacement candidate is fighting. But you also describe this current state of the Democratic Party as too timid. And what can the Democratic Party do to get out of this timid and even some will say disappointing place?
So timid that you've gotten out of the Democratic Party.
Here's the thing. I actually think that the system is broken. The two-party system is broken, and we need it to be fixed, to be working in order for a democracy. Look, just this past Saturday, millions of people, 7 million people.
There you go. So Cringe Jean-Pierre. She never does answer the question, and she's getting a big-time pushback. Part of me wonders if, and I'm going to ask Matthew Hurt this question coming up at 7:35, but I think one of the things that is going on is she is getting this pushback because she has denounced basically the Democrat Party. So I think that is also part of the dynamic. But, new look for Cringe Jean-Pierre. Same name from me and same old lies. By the way, Larry has this to say. Joan, I hope you were listening to Cringe on how she avoids these questions for when you get asked about how you didn't notice Dan's loss of mental acuity.
Yes, I did see that.
And then I love how Joan responds to that by saying,
I was hoping you didn't see.
I'm taking note and laughing all the way. So that's fine. Listen, it's all good.
Okay, so Larry has a response.
Mm-hmm.
Because you chimed in and said, I'm right here,
Yes.
And he said, oh, you won't remember.
See, this is why I love the super text line.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. Real quick, so RJ, does RJ know who's training today? No, Sam is not leaving us, by the way. RJ is training just to be a producer, fill in. Do you know how to give us the results of the Daily Dan poll on YouTube?
Yes.
Feel free, somebody to speak.
I'm seeing it right here. A lot of people are definitely saying we would function a lot better with term limits.
Okay, so RJ says that people are saying that we would function a lot better with term limits. So I think overall, okay, then I guess the next question is, and we can't do it on the super text on the YouTube poll, but I guess then the question is, Joan, what do you think is a good number for term limits? Do you think it should be, if you're in the House, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years? And if you're in the Senate, you think it ought to be 2 terms, 12 years? What do you think it ought to be?
I think the 12-year limit is a good limit.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I do think that's fair.
The designers of our country did not, this is not how they wanted it. If you remember in the beginning, they would attend Congress and go home. It wasn't
they would go
year-round.
home. They would tend to the farms and
right. It wasn't a year-round thing. They didn't stay there the whole time. They would tend to the business of the country and tend to the business of their homes. And I think that's not a bad scenario, to go by.
Do you know what? Do you know? There's so many different stories of our founding fathers and historical figures. Do you know whose story I love the most? George Washington.
Yeah.
So because he didn't want to be president. He was like, can I go home? I've led the army. I've done all of these things. Can I just please go home now? And so he didn't want to be president. He finally was able to go home and do what he did. But he's got such a great. Maybe one day we'll do a whole show on the founding fathers. But for me, historical figures, George Washington, one of my favorites. The other thing that I liked about George Washington was he had a lot of losses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he had, and I don't have them off the top of my head. I read a book about him a long time ago. But here's a guy who definitely, he was the personification of learning from your failures and your successes, but definitely learning from your failures. And I believe, and I don't know, Joan, if you have an opinion on this, but I have definitely learned more from my many, many failures than my few successes.
Yes. And you know who's a great person? Have you ever heard of Tim Barton and Wall Builders?
No.
He writes books about this. He writes about the providential nature of George Washington coming to office and how his life went.
Really?
Yeah, it's really very cool.
Okay.
So just something to...
You got that? Can I borrow that book? Because I don't want to spend any money.
I will give you the book, yeah. Cheaper.
Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
All right, 722 on Nashville's Morning News. All right, so in that segment, we figured out that KGP is still an idiot. Quinn Jean Pierre. KGP.
With straight hair.
KJP is still an idiot with straight hair. Audience definitely likes term limits.
Mm-hmm.
They do believe that the government would function better with term limits. And I would like to know now if you can text us in for the House and the Senate. I realize it could be different. For you, what would be the ideal term limit? You know, we're talking about, you know, in the House of Representatives, 5 or 6 different, terms to string together 10, 12 years. And what about the Senate? I'm very interested in what people have to say. So send it into the super text line at 615-737-9986. Now we'll do Joan's Tease. Joan, what's coming up?
By the way, also Virginia governors can serve one term. They can serve a second term, but there has to be a 4-year period during which they're not in office in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Coming up here, well, he used to keep the peace. Now a former deputy sheriff is headed to prison, and it looks like one county is going to start from scratch when it comes to property tax reassessments. Those stories at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here, 724, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Low T Center. Listen, guys, if you can feel your energy slipping away, you could have low testosterone. Now, my friends at Synergen X and Low T Center, they can help you. Reach out and take a quick and simple T-test and get back on track with pharmaceutical-grade testosterone. Now, some of these other places, they compound their testosterone, so you don't even know what you're getting or if it's even going to work. Now, Synergen X and Low T Center, they've helped guys at work, at the gym, and yes, at love as well. Now, what can they do for you? Find out with a quick trip to the clinic or find them online, trtmvp.com. The best you is waiting. And again, remember, find out after a quick trip to the clinic. Guys, if you've taken a TRT, the guys that have taken it say that their lives have completely changed. Their lives have completely changed for the better, and yours can as well. Now, you can get treated at home or at one of their many clinics around town. You can choose, but when it comes to where to go to feel like you again, choose the MVPs of TRT, Synergen X and Low T Center online, trtmvp.com.
Good morning. It is 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A former Williamson County Sheriff's deputy has pleaded guilty to child pornography charges.
The court documents say back in June, Joseph Slayball used the app Kick to elicit sexually explicit images, and the plea agreement states that Slayball was a deputy at the time of when this happened.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. He was arrested in a sting operation in which an FBI agent posed as a 14-year-old girl. Slayball faces up to 10 years in prison. Rutherford County tax assessors got it wrong. The Tennessee Comptroller Jeremy Mumpower telling the Rutherford County Commission that his review turned up mistakes like missing buildings, incorrect square footage, and misclassified properties in one of 4 assessments.
We found that even the attempted corrections were riddled with errors. When you don't have assessments done in a fair and equitable manner, property-owning taxpayers lose confidence in the taxes they are paying.
Comptroller Mumford recommends hiring an independent firm to reassess all 130,000 plus parcels. Estimated cost over $3 million. Democrats once again voted to keep the government shut down last night. Republican senators are heading to the White House today for a working lunch with President Trump, who believes that Democrats are about to cave.
I think they're going to have no choice but to go along because the country is setting records in every way and people want it to continue that way. So we're hoping the Democrats become much less deranged and that we will get the vote pretty soon. And I hear they're starting to feel that way, too.
The shutdown enters its 21st day today. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 732 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN Stoltz Co. Listen, this is a great Tennessee company. They continue to grow and expand. I love Stoltz Co. Now, you know that they build pole barns and that these pole barns can serve as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You can even live in these pole barns. We call those barn dominiums. Yeah, you can live them. And these days, these barn dominiums, they are new and improved. When you go through Stoltz Co., they are now offering you turnkey options. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that Stoltz Co. will handle the design, the construction, and the amazing finishing touches. You turn the key and you are home thanks to Stoltz Co. By the way, they now also offer storm shelters to keep you and your family safe. Now, your new pole barn from Stoltz Co. can be used for anything. So if you have some land that needs a building for whatever you want, call my friends at Stoltz Co. STOLTZCO, StoltzCo.com, 615-622-5992. As always, tell him Dan told you to reach out, 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook to see examples of their incredible work around Middle Tennessee, StoltzCo.com. It is spooky season, but don't be tricked. Let the home experts at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling treat your family right. Now, we're not going to ghost you. Join the Beehive Club for free. Just carve a pumpkin of Buzz the Bee. Post it on social media. You tag Busy Bee, and you get some free benefits. That's right. Show off your carving skills and get rewarded. If you need HVAC service, upgrade your thermostat and get a free dryer vent cleaning. Now you can choose from our Honeywell Basic or Go Pro with Wi-Fi control. If you've got plumbing problems, we'll flush your water heater for free with any plumbing repair. That is a treat for your pipes. If you need a new HVAC system, we've got a scary good deal, a free 10-year parts and 5-year labor warranty. That is a $750 value, complete with any system install. Listen, don't let your home be haunted. Call Busy Bee today, where service is sweet and savings are scary good. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call him. Tell him Dan told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Online, busybeehvac.com.
Okay, so we've got an accident on 40 westbound past Briley Parkway, exit 215. That accident there taking out the left lane. Watch it there. Also in Midtown Charlotte Avenue at I-40, there's an accident. Traveling on 40 eastbound in Dixon, you've got an accident just before the Centerville-Dixon line, exit 163. Madison 65 southbound past Old Hickory Boulevard, there's an accident that takes out the right shoulder. And in Laverne, watch it on Old Hickory Boulevard, just north of I-24. Police are on the scene of an accident there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.736, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to welcome on into the program Matthew Hurt. Matthew, always great to have you on. And term limits have come up today, so I'm going to ask you. I asked folks in the listening audience, who I do consider my friends, what do you think of term limits? Now, I already knew, because I've been on this radio station for a long time, that most folks would say absolutely to term limits. So, yes. Resoundingly, people want term limits on this radio station. Matt Van Epps apparently has come out and now said that he does support term limits. And so then, Matthew, I asked the question, all right, so if you were, king like Donald Trump and you could implement term limits, then what would you do? And I've got a whole bunch of different responses. Some people are saying 12 years in the House, 12 years in the Senate. Other people saying, 4 years in the House, 4 years in the Senate. Other people saying, 4 + 4, just like the president. So it's all over the place. And Matthew, I don't know if you and I have spoken about term limits before or not, but what's your official position on term limits?
Well, Dan, it's great to finally be on the program this morning. But before,
Matthew, just so folks know. Matthew got bumped earlier by Senator Marsha Blackburn. Somehow I screwed up the time again. I don't know what is wrong with me. I think I've got the Biden brain disease. But so I was supposed to, I think it was Sam that said, well, Dan, you have both Senator Marsha Blackburn and Matthew Hurt on the phone at the same time. Make a choice.
Oh.
And
that's a fine choice, Dan. But I did come with George Washington interesting facts before I dig in on term limits. George Washington, little known fact, was an exceptional horseman. No one ever reportedly saw him thrown from a horse, and he was also an avid dancer, known to dance for hours at social events. Even Thomas Jefferson said that Washington was both the best horseman of his age and the most graceful figure that could be seen. So super cool, really? Interesting facts about George Washington this morning.
All right, now, hold on. I want to know, Joan, you might know the answer to this question.
Mm-hmm.
Did or did he not have wooden teeth? Joan, no, I think Joan knows the answer. Matthew, do you know the answer?
He did not have wooden teeth. He did have terrible dental problems, but his teeth were crafted from human teeth, animal bone, ivory, and even metal. So our first president had some ridiculous chompers. They just didn't have great teeth back then in general. But he was also the largest distiller and distributor of rye whiskey in the early American experiment. So,
I didn't know that.
You can see that out at Mount Vernon. Mm-hmm.
Out of Mount Vernon,
okay.
And that may have contributed to his poor teeth. But on term limits, Dan, you said it before the break. The voters decide term limits every 2 years or every 6 years. We look to George Washington actually as sort of the figure that said, I don't want to be president to begin with, but I'm also not going to serve as a king, and so he stepped back. Now Franklin D. Roosevelt, notable socialist from the early 20th century, blew that precedent out of the water, which forced the American people through the Constitution to say absolutely not, no more than 2 terms for a president. And Joan Jones got it right before the break that in Virginia, a governor can serve non-sequential 4-year terms. So Glenn Youngkin is our governor in Virginia. He is prohibited from running again this cycle, but he could run again in 4 years.
Do you think he would win again? Matthew, do you think Glenn Youngkin, I like Glenn Youngkin. Do you think he would win again?
I think that a lot of his in-state activities had some legislative victories, but we've had a couple of election cycles where his political operation was responsible for getting some Republicans across the finish line, and they didn't. So I don't know. I don't know if that would be the case, but the voters get to decide, and you can't necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are plenty of terrible members of Congress, and oftentimes polls say Americans are overwhelmingly disapproving of Congress, but their congressman is great. And so we get a bit of this paradox from the voters that say, if you're living in Middle Tennessee, if Mark Green is your outgoing congressman or Scott DesJarlais is your congressman, you think the rest of Congress is awful, but you probably think your congressman is just fine.
Yeah.
And I do think that it takes a good candidate in a primary process or a general election process to say, hey, your member of Congress is not doing a great job. And is that difficult? Are there benefits rolled into being an incumbent? Yes, it makes it harder to defeat them, but I ultimately think that decision should rest with the voters and not with some arbitrary guideline, 2 years, 6 years, 12 years.
Let me follow up with that, though, because then my question would be, you see Mitch McConnell. We know what happened with Dianne Feinstein. Nancy Pelosi is in her 80s, I think 82 or 83. And I don't think, I'm just going to be honest, I don't think Nancy Pelosi is all there. And we certainly know what happened with Joe Biden. So is there somewhere in between, you're a lot smarter at politics than I am. So is there somewhere in there where we can all agree that, I don't know, Mitch McConnell is too dang old to be falling around the hallways of the Senate?
Well, on the Senate side, they actually reward seniority. So the House is to a certain extent very similar, but on the Senate side, the decisions are held by the most senior members of the Senate. That's why you see in leadership on both the Republican and the Democrat side, generally the leaders tend to be the longest serving individuals. Committee assignments are oftentimes apportioned to the longest serving members of those committees. And so that is how the system exists. If you were constantly sending a new member of Congress, let's say, in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, if they sent a new member of Congress every 2 years, that member of Congress would, quote, never be able to get anything done for his or her district. And so that's the balance, is that those institutions, the House and the Senate, both exist on a seniority basis where the senior members are awarded top positions on committees, chairmanships, leadership positions. And so that's the balance that we have to sort of look at when we think about this.
All right, real quick. Coming up, we're going to talk about the Spanberger versus Sears governor's race. What is going on with that? We're going to talk about the ramifications of the No Kings rallies and a whole lot more. Matthew Hurt is joining us. Time to check the roads on WTN. 'Sunny with a high of 71, breezy this afternoon, getting down into the mid-40s tonight. All right, Matthew, real quick. We're going to talk shutdown real quick. So there's some polling out there that shows that the Democrats are going to be held accountable for the shutdown, as I believe that they should. There's other reports, including this story out of the Hill that I was talking about earlier, where the Democrats are freaking out because they're afraid that if they sign off on what they are saying, and I guess is considered a Republican CR, then they are going to be primaried. I mean, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, this is it's fascinating to watch. I've said since the beginning of the shutdown that Republicans will likely be blamed, even though it is primarily a process. You can lay the blame of the process at the feet of the Democrats. Polling shows that Americans are about split. I think it's about a 10-point margin between blaming Republicans and blaming Democrats, with Republicans taking most of the blame. This is a fight over Obamacare. And the Democrats want to run out the clock through about mid-November on this. It's absolutely outrageous. That as Senator Blackburn said in the last hour, she's meeting with President Trump at the White House. The Senate Republicans are trying to do something about this. House Republicans want to reopen the government. This is the first time in my memory that the government has been shut down where it actually hasn't been the Republicans' fault, or not necessarily fault in a negative context, but the blame of the Republicans on the process side. And this is gamesmanship by the Democrats. They know that it will work out in their favor in the court of public opinion for most voters. And so they are playing this political game. It's really unfortunate to see.
Boy, it sure is. And we'll have to see where it all lands. We've got J.D. Vance going to Israel. President Trump saying that he was basically going to exterminate Hamas or work on that if ultimately they don't behave. We know that they're not behaving now, killing 2 IDF soldiers. What do you think is going to happen in the Middle East?
Yeah, I was really disappointed earlier this week to see, I thought we had this agreement between Israel and Hamas. Last week, I believe you and I talked about it, and then Hamas goes in and does this thing to just, again, it's a serious matter. A lot of folks were brought to the table. There's this agreement. This is a marquee success of the Trump administration. But beyond that, it is right for the people of the Middle East to stop this fighting. Hostages were released, and it seems like Hamas is just not being taken seriously. And I think that is because if you look at the agreement that President Trump has outlined and that everyone seems to be agreeing to, it takes Hamas out of leadership roles in the Palestinian regions, in Gaza and other places. And when a political entity, now Hamas is the political entity of the Palestinian people in Gaza, a political entity is going to lose its power. They are going to do whatever they can to keep power, and so this again games they're playing is fooling around with an agreement that ultimately cuts them out of being able to govern in the future.
Is it fair to say that the only thing Hamas is good at is killing people?
I think so, and killing people and not taking care of the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
Whenever there were resources funneled into Gaza, funneled into other areas, the Hamas governing infrastructure, rather than providing that to the people of those areas, they used it to build tunnels, they used it to build weapons, they used it to build ways to subvert authority and security in the area. If you want to, people say free Palestine. If you want to free Palestine, you have to free Palestine from Hamas.
Yes.
That is the problem. They are not a serious governing entity, and they should not have a seat at the table in a future where the Palestinian people seek to peacefully coexist with the people of Israel.
I'm coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. I'm going to play some audio and video of Harry Enton talking about Donald Trump's popularity, where it is right now, as opposed to his first term, and also the Democrats and where they are from Donald Trump's first term to where they are now. And I'll spare everyone the suspense. Democrats are not doing well, especially when you look at, comparatively speaking, to Trump's first term. Blue wave in the midterms. This is from the USA Today. I'm just going to give you the headline. Don't count on a blue wave in the midterms. Most Americans are saying Democrats are weak, by the way, including a lot of Democrats. So I don't know. I feel like we talk about this all the time. But do you believe that the American people believe that Democrats are weak?
Well, the cash on hand for the Republican National Committee after the last report is $86 million. Cash on hand for the Democrats is $12 million. The Gallup third quarter party ID, there was a bit of a shift away from Republicans to independents. I think it's 48% Democrat, 41% Republican. So a small shift, but Donald Trump's net approval on immigration is of his positive 9. He's got an approve disapprove of 46-51, which is up 1 over the last time they took that poll. So he is doing pretty well. And I think that as we look to the midterms, people are going to say, how's my pocketbook doing? How's the economy doing? Do I feel safe in my community? And on those issues, many Americans believe that Donald Trump and Republican policies are what advance their general well-being at the kitchen table.
Let me talk about kitchen table issues real quick, and I'm running out of time, but kitchen table issues. So let's say we come up to the midterm elections. Let's say that eventually the peace deal in the Middle East actually holds. Let's say that, a lot of things that President Trump has been trying to do ultimately ends up with a success. The streets are safer. The border is secure. All of these other things. You know the American people, I think, pretty well. You read polling and all that. So do you think that even if inflation is still higher than we want it to be, do you think the American people will take a look at everything that President Trump has been able to do and have a little bit of forgiveness if the price of things is still a little high?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would also say we got to factor in the redistricting efforts across a number of states.
Oh, yeah.
If those efforts make it across the finish line, the majority in the House is 218 votes, 218 seats. And if those redistricting efforts make it across the finish line, Republicans are looking at starting with about 225 to 227 seats. So an automatic majority, it would take a massive blue wave, which we have not seen in a long time, to disrupt that breakdown.
All right, real quick, governor's race. We've got Winsome Sears versus Abigail Spanberger. We all know about the whole Jay Jones thing. You and I have been talking about this for a long time. Is there any update on what is going on between these two?
The election is 2 weeks from today. The latest poll, I believe it's coefficient, has Spanberger at 49, Earl Sears at 44, but Jason Miyares is up 4 points over Jay Jones, 46-42. And in the lieutenant governor's race, the Democrat has about a 5-point lead. So we're looking at about the same spread for governor and lieutenant governor, but 4 points up, a 9-point swing from the governor and lieutenant governor race to the attorney general race. I think this is now probably Jason Miyares' race to lose, and we'll see if he can carry or narrow the margin for the governor and lieutenant governor's race.
So give me some perspective real quick. So what's the margin of error on the governor's race? I mean, you said that you've got Spanberger up by 5. What's the margin of error?
Margin of error is plus or minus 3.19%. So within the margin of error, the question that we have to ask in Virginia is how many people have already voted since before the Jay Jones scandal broke. And I'm looking just anecdotally in Arlington. I have about a universe of 25,000 Republican voters that I can get to turn out, and about a third of them have turned out as of yesterday.
All right, Matthew, how can people find you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter or X at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right, you can find me on X Twitter at Dan Manda Show. Matthew, as always, great to talk to you, and we'll talk to you again soon. 7:54, Joan's got the news at 8. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here at 8 o'clock, Dan. Police in Georgia are saying a family's quick action saved lives yesterday. And it's earnings season. We're going to tell you which companies are reporting better than expected results today. That and more at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. Dan Mandis here for my friends at the Glock store. Here we are in October, and the holidays are fast approaching. If you need a place to party, if you've got a party maybe coming up, work, friends, whatever it is. Maybe you've got, bachelor or bachelorette party, whatever. The Glock store, they can help you out. This is a great company, a great gun store, two-way store. I call it my two-way paradise, as a matter of fact. Well, you have the opportunity to throw your party at the Glock store. That's right. They have a beautiful party room that can host almost any size party from 10 to 100. And it comes with a dedicated shoot room or rooms, depending on the party size, personal, professional firearms instructors as well. And don't forget to ask about the full auto option. Now, that is a party that everybody's going to be talking about. Now, all you got to do is call the Glock store retail showroom. Here's that phone number. Always important you tell them Dan Man just told you to reach out. 615-662-6565. That's 615-682-6565. And ask to speak to the retail manager or just stop on by to check it out. 615-682-6565. They will help you plan the perfect party, including, by the way, catering. If you need it, they've got a great kitchen. Find them online, glockstore.com, 615-682-6565. Make sure that you call now because it does sell out. Glockstore.com.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. An alleged plot targeting the nation's biggest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport. Had police are saying that they foiled a potential mass shooting there. The suspect, who's now under arrest, has been identified as 49-year-old Billy Cagle from Cartersville, Georgia.
Police say within minutes, a tip came in from Cagle's family.
The Cartersville Police Department was alerted by the family of Mr. Cagle that he was streaming on social media, that he was headed to the airport, in their words, to shoot it up.
According to police, the family said Cagle wanted to inflict harm to as many people as he could and sent a photo to police to identify him. Officers quickly spotting him.
ABC's Mola Langi there. Now, investigators say they found 27 rounds of ammunition in his back seat, along with an AR-15 style rifle. They say he is a convicted felon, and it raises questions about how he obtained that weapon. Metro Nashville police are looking for the person who shot and killed a teenager at a Bellevue apartment complex. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Here at the Forest Park Apartments, there have been 2 homicides, and that's just in the past week. According to the Metro Police data dashboard, over the last 3 years, there have been more than 50 incidents here.
Last year, a 37-year-old man was shot dead in front of his own apartment at Forest Park. Since then, they put in new security cameras and lighting. The shooting of a pedicab rider last week is renewing conversations about self-defense. The pedicab driver told Nashville police he was punched by one rider and then he shot another one as that man charged at the driver. Attorney David Rabin tells Channel 4 that Tennessee's stand your ground law comes into play here.
The key is it has to be reasonable at the time, and you have to have an immediate fear. You can't just shoot somebody because you say, well, 3 weeks from now, they're going to kill me or something like that. It has to be right then.
No charges so far. That investigation goes on. A Nashville Traffic and Parking Commission plan to add parking meters to what's now free parking in spaces in the Music Row area. It's getting pushback from musicians. The Nashville Musicians Association presented a change.org petition with 1,000 signatures during the public input hearing of the commission yesterday. It's not clear if that'll put an end to the paid parking plan. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Better than expected earnings reports from Coca-Cola and General Motors this morning, leading stock futures mostly higher. Now they're down. The Dow futures are down just 2, though. The NASDAQ futures falling now 4 points. S&P futures are unchanged. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Trouble on 40 eastbound in Murfreesboro this morning at Old Ford Parkway, exit 78. There's a crash there, some injuries as well. Got an accident on Charlotte Pike, east of Davidson Drive in West Mead. Trinity Hills, it's on Brick Church Pike, west of, make that north of West Trinity Lane. That's the scene of an accident. Harding Pike, east of Percy Warner Boulevard in Belmead, there's an accident as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. Man, there is so much going on. And by the way, Joan, unfortunately, Chris Hand is not going to be here for the crisscross handoff.
Is he stuck in traffic again?
He is stuck in traffic, yes. Something must be going on, 24 westbound heading into town.
It is pretty ugly in the Laverne area. Like there's a black spot on the roadway. You know, they have colors that they use in these maps, and so red is pretty bad, but black is like bad.
Oh, black is like if it's black, then you ain't going anywhere. And apparently, Chris Hand was stuck or is stuck in the black. So, listen, Chris,
I get it.
Take your time. I don't mind staying late for you. Again, I'm totally kidding. Moving right along. You know, it is interesting. We're talking to Matthew Hurt about some of the polling out there and what's going to happen in the midterm elections, who people are holding responsible or accountable for the government shutdown. And Harry Enton, and this is a great video, made its way around the interwebs and the socials yesterday. Harry Enton, you know, my favorite over at CNN, the question posed was, because remember, Trump had a shutdown in his first term as well. And by the way, I made some sort of a mention about the difference between Trump's first term and Trump's second term earlier in the broadcast. And everybody agrees with me that Trump's second term far, far in a way better than Donald Trump's first term. And I think the obvious reason is because Trump, number one, he's not dealing with the same nincompoops that he was in the first go around. And the Republican Party is basically behind him, as opposed to in the first administration of Donald Trump, where he was battling the Democrats, he was battling investigations, he was battling Republicans as well. Anyway, bottom line is, how are the American people responding to this shutdown, and are they holding Donald Trump accountable? So this is Harry Enton. Listen.
That's exactly right. Turns out shutdowns are different the second time around when it comes to Donald Trump. Take a look here. You know, we speak about Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating. We're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen. This shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
Now, here's the thing, because I want to give a little bit more perspective on this. 2018, 2019, we had a shutdown. Trump was down 3 points. And they're talking about how this was because of the shutdown. But it's a lot. There's a lot more to the story. I mean, when Donald Trump, the first election, the Democrats and the media were accusing him of basically colluding with the Russians to steal the election from Hillary Clinton. So he, again, had all of those things that were going on. He was fighting for his political life just right out of the gate. The Democrats were looking for ways to impeach him. So that is why I'm not going to put Donald Trump's falling approval rating back in 2018, 2019. I'm not going to put that just on the shutdown. I think there were a lot of things that were going on. I mean, really, Donald Trump's first administration, the political assassination of Donald Trump, I mean, it began when, well, heck, it even began before he took the oath of office. And so I think that his first administration, his second administration, two totally, completely different things. But the point that Harry Enton is making is that right now, Donald Trump is solidly, and in my opinion anyway, according to these numbers, solidly backed by the American people, especially the Republican Party. Now, I do understand, oh, but what about the No Kings protest? You had millions of people out there. Okay. 7 million people, is that what it was? So 7 million people across America with these No Kings protests. Okay, that's fine. How many people are in this country? 330 million? Is that what it is still? About 330 million? So these No Kings protests, to me, whatever. Because don't forget, the media also tried to sell you on, oh my gosh, do you see how many people are in these Kamala Harris campaign stops, right? It was like you had all of these millions of people coming out to see Kamala Harris. Well, the reality was the people weren't coming out to see Kamala Harris. They were coming out to see Beyonce or, I don't know, you name the...
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey. What
about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay. What about the question of blame? Okay, you see here, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown, a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans blame Trump a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown.
All right, so 2018, 2019, 61% blamed Donald Trump for the shutdown at the time. But, you know, in 2018, 2019, they would blame Trump for anything. They would blame Donald Trump because it's raining outside. But in 2025, and this is to me the most interesting, right now, 48% of the American people blame Donald Trump for the shutdown. But if you think about it, I mean, by and large, I always look at it this way. Half of the American people are Democrat, the other half are Republican. I know that the differences are more nuanced. But bottom line is, if you've got 48% that are blaming Donald Trump, and I'm going to say only 48%, then that means even some Democrats understand that Donald Trump is not the one that is shutting down the government. Clearly, it is the Democrats.
So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump, at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
And he's doing things differently during this shutdown.
Yes, exactly right. You know, we talk about Donald Trump and you say, okay, he wants to be a consequential, influential president. Well, if the legislative process is basically freezed up, you know, on Capitol Hill, you may say, well, then he can't actually get legislation through. But that's not how Trump is governing in this term. We've spoken about this over and over and over again. He's using his pen. He's using executive orders. Trump executive orders at this point of presidency. In 2017, It was just 50. Look at this, already 210 executive orders signed by Donald Trump during this presidency. That is the most in a year. You have to go all the way back since Franklin Delano Roosevelt to find a president who signed more executive orders in a year than Donald Trump has already signed this time around. And remember, John Berman, we still have 2 months to go in this year, so it wouldn't be surprising to me if he signs even more.
Yeah, it seems to be saying, Congress, you don't want to do something?
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
That is Harry Enton, John, I think he said Berman, on CNN. The number of executive orders is rather startling. 2025, 210 executive orders. I made the joke earlier. 210 executive orders. Oh my gosh, he's a king. He thinks he's a king. No, because, you know, some of these executive orders, they're getting stopped in the courts and so forth. And if Donald Trump was a king, which clearly he's not, then they would just, go through by decree and there wouldn't be any checks and balances. And that's why I think people with these No Kings protests over the weekend, I think people just, they see these for what they are, which is just absolute absurdity. So I'm not going to get bogged down in the No Kings protests this morning. I've been trying not to. There's a couple of great sound bites that I've got that I'm going to play coming up. But I love this headline, just talking about the shutdown and the politics of it all. I've got some great audio from Markwayne Mullin. He is a senator. That is coming up next, where he's going to talk about why is it that the Democrats are literally afraid to sign on to that continuing resolution. It is 8:16. Time to check the roads on WTN. Eight 16 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. As far as your weather goes, today sunny, a high of 71, breezy in the afternoon, getting down into the mid-40s tonight. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Today is day 21 of the Schumer shutdown. And Senator Markwayne Mullin, he is a Republican, and he says, you know what? Here's the problem with the Democrats is they are literally afraid of their base. Listen to this.
I've always said I can work across the aisle as long as they love the country as much as I do. But when you start making decisions on the future of this country based on your reelection, there's no room to negotiate because you're not thinking about the country anymore. You're only thinking about yourself. A Democrat senator was quoted today in The Hill saying that after the No Kings rally, actually a lot of them feel like their neck and is in a guillotine. Is it really just about their base? Is that the reason why they're shutting down the government? Yes, 100% they're afraid of their base. They're afraid of their own party that they'll get primaried in the upcoming election. And you go, that can't be possible. Okay, tell me one thing that's on this bill that the Republicans have put on since Chuck Schumer wrote it, and they voted for it in September of last year, December of last year, January of this year, and March of this year. Nothing has changed other than their base demanded that they shut down the government. I've always said...
Yeah, that is Markwayne Mullin. Listen to this headline. He was talking about that article in The Hill. Democratic senators fear getting hammered after No Kings for ending the shutdown. So, if you're a Democrat, to hear Markwayne Mullin say it, if Democrats vote to keep the government or get the government back open, well, then they're worried that all those people that are out there for the No Kings protest are going to primary them during the next election. And so what they're doing is they're putting their own power, the Democrats are putting their own power in front of the American people. This is the story again from The Hill. Grassroots Democrats frustrated with the Trump administration have been demanding a fight. And on Saturday, millions showed up at No Kings demonstrations across the country to protest the president's government. But some Democrats skeptical about their leadership's hardline stance against reopening the federal government, privately acknowledging that they fear getting hammered by their liberal base if they vote for a Republican spending bill. But as Markwayne Mullin said, this is the same spending bill that the Democrats passed last year. As he said, nothing has changed. I think there's a little bit that's changed, but nothing that would derail the signing of the CR. Nothing at all. The only thing that's changed is who is in the Oval Office. That's what's changed. In that context, the Hill, in that context, Democrats know they will get hit hard by a number of voices on the left if they do not get something for opening the government. Yeah, they say people are going to get hammered if they vote for the House-passed bill to reopen the government and keep it funded through November 21st, said one Democratic senator who requested anonymity to talk candidly about their party. The other thing that this article shows, and other ones as well, is that you do have you do have the Democrats that are out there, the main party, the main line of the Democrats, who say that their party is actually weak. And the Democrats in Congress, the Democrats in the Senate, all of them, according to their own party, they are weak. And see, that's why the Democrats are trying to show some fight with Donald Trump, because they don't want to be seen as weak. But here's the thing. I mean, you can't outstrength Donald Trump. You just can't. I mean, Donald Trump is all about, peace through strength as he's dealing with the Middle East, right? And that's one of the things that he goes by. That's one of the things that his administration is based on, peace through strength. The Democrats are not going to be able to put forward this narrative that they're stronger than Donald Trump. There's just no way that they're going to be able to, for a number of different reasons. But bottom line is that according to some of the polling out there, they are going to be held accountable in the midterm elections. Then you throw out the redistricting that the Republicans also are looking to do, and it could be a bloody midterm for the Democrats. It is 8:21 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan, we got the news coming up. What you got?
Yeah, President Trump is getting a big win from an appeals court. We'll tell you about it at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here at 8:22. Brentwood Jewelry, the official jewelry store of my house. Now, if you've got a special occasion coming up, you need a special gift, and Brentwood Jewelry is your place to go. It's where I go. If I've got an anniversary coming up, if I've got a birthday coming up, my place to go is Brentwood Jewelry. Now, guys, for the lady in your life, necklaces, bracelets, rings, and earrings, they've got great choice selection, and they've got pieces for every single budget at Brentwood Jewelry. And for the guys, money clips, cufflinks, and they've got watches for everyone as well. And yes, every budget. Now, if you've got a family heirloom, I've been talking about this a lot because I've got a family heirloom. Maybe it's an old watch that needs repair in your home. Maybe it is a ring that needs to be reset. Brentwood Jewelry, they can do it for you. They've got great merchandise, terrific prices, and yes, every single budget is there for you. If you've got a smaller budget, they've got pieces for you. If you've got a larger budget, yes, they can help you out there as well. Brentwood Jewelry, a family-owned business. They've been in Middle Tennessee for over 50 years. They are the official jewelry store of my house, and they are here to help you as well. Brentwood Jewelry, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com. Dan Mandis here for Loan Pronto. What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home's equity and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? You can with my friends at Loan Pronto. Now, right now, at Loan Pronto, they've got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off those high-interest credit cards, and yes, even skip your next 2 house payments. That is huge. Now, one client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours using Loan Pronto, paid off their debt, paid off a couple of car loans as well, and yes, saved the $2,100 a month. One call, life changed, Loan Pronto. Now, there's no wait, no hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates are really at a 3-year low, so call now, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Find them online, loanpronto.com, to get your free instant home appraisal. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. On approved credit, visit nmlsconsumeraccess.org. 828 Nashville's Morning News. Hey, Joan, is
Yes,
J.D.
Dan.
Vance in Israel yet? Is he there
He is.
now?
He's there. Yeah,
Marco
they're on the
Rubio
ground.
go with him?
No, but his wife did.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad his wife, Usha. Hey, did you hear the rumors, Joan, that Donald Trump is considering pardoning Diddy?
No.
Did you hear that?
I've heard it before.
Rumors were all over the place.
No.
Listen. The rumors were all over the place that Donald Trump was going to pardon Diddy. So now the question is, Joan Jones, is Did Donald Trump pardon Diddy? The White House is denying TMZ's report on President Trump considering commuting Diddy's prison sentence. They say there is zero truth to the TMZ report, which we would have gladly explained had they reached out before running their fake news. I was going back and forth with Aaron, a friend of mine, and about this, because I don't want to speak for her, but I was like, no way. What Diddy is accused of is I don't see President Trump commuting that sentence. I just don't. So
No.
White House is coming out now and saying, fake news. Joan, you're going to have to share the fake news mantle with TMZ.
I can't do it. I like to hold the fake news mantle.
Do you know what we need to do?
All by myself.
We need to come up with a fake news tiara for Joan Jones. Some people have a fake news trophy. We can, because you're like the queen of the staff around here.
Yeah.
So we can get you a little fake news tiara thing. Put it on your
Well,
head
if I
like
had
a
one,
crown.
Nancy Pelosi would just rip it up.
She would certainly try, and if she couldn't, they would get somebody else to rip it up, and they do a really quick, supercut to make it look like she did it. All right.
He won't do it. I predict he will not do that.
Do you know, I had forgotten that Burger King gives out the silly little hats, the little crowns.
Did you ever get one when you were a kid?
Riker used to love them.
Oh, yeah.
Riker, and I just I'd forgotten all about them when my kids were kids. And then meet Amy, the youngling is like 3 years old when we met. He's 11 now, going on 25. And, but oh man, we used to have those little Burger King things all over the house.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had forgotten about them because I'm not particularly a fan of Burger King. But from what I understand, you can indeed have it your way at Burger King. It is 8:30 on WTN.
Good morning. It's 8:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Want to let you know that 24 is just a mess this morning, especially in the Murfreesboro area. 24 westbound at I-840. There's an accident with two right lanes blocked off by it. Also this morning on westbound 24 at the off-ramp. The off-ramp is partially blocked off by perhaps that same accident this morning. So careful as you go. It's going to take you a lot longer. It's a parking lot on 24 westbound this morning. In the news, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturning a temporary restraining order that had prevented the Trump administration from deploying the National Guard to Portland, Oregon.
I think that it is very likely that the United States Supreme Court will side the same way that the Ninth Circuit did in Portland, and they will say that Congress gave the president the power to decide this, and it cannot be the role of judges to second guess his decision on what the facts mean in terms of whether he is able to enforce federal law, which is what Congress told the president he had to make the decision based on. The judges don't get to decide whether the president is able to enforce federal law.
That's ABC News' Sarah Isger. Now, there is still a broader order that prohibits any state's National Guard from deploying into Portland. That one remains in effect. When Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia goes on trial in January, his lawyers want potential jurors to answer questions that they've created to get their views on illegal immigration. The Tennessee Star reports the questionnaire asked jurors where they get their news, including which radio stations they listen to, implying that they could remove that potential juror for being prejudiced. Abrego Garcia is standing trial on human smuggling charges.
So listen, here's what you got to do.
Yeah.
If you don't want to serve jury duty, tell him you listen to Nashville's Morning News.
That's right. That's all you have to do.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Tell him you're a big Dan fan, and out you go.
Boom.
And there you go.
Abrego Garcia standing trial on human smuggling charges for the 2022 traffic stop in which he was seen transporting other illegal aliens from Texas to Maryland. New scrutiny on the popular gaming platform Roblox.
Florida's Attorney General is issuing criminal subpoenas against Roblox, the popular online gaming company, citing alleged abuse of children by online predators. The Attorney General claims the platform does not properly verify the age of users and fails to moderate explicit content.
That's ABC's Mola Lenghi. Now, in its defense, Roblox says it already blocked sharing images and videos in its chat feature, and it uses filters to block the exchange of personal information. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Moments after the opening bell, and the Dow Jones is up 19 points. NASDAQ falling 39. We've got the S&P up just a fraction. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:33. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Loan pronto. Are you trapped in a high-rate mortgage, watching your hard-earned money vanish every single month? Well, stop, because right now, Loan Pronto, they are delivering the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years. That's right. Loan Pronto's Rate Reduction Home Loan Program is a streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars every single month. Lock in a fixed rate as low as 4.99% APR and close in as little as 2 weeks. No appraisal needed in most cases. And here's the kicker. You can skip your next 2 house payments entirely. That's right. Skip your next 2 house payments when you go through Loan Pronto. Now, don't wait. Rates this low won't last long. Call Loan Pronto right now for your free, no obligation quote. Loan Pronto is indeed amazing. Lower payments, more money in your pocket, and yes, a fresh start with a better mortgage. Call them 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780. You can also find them online, loanpronto.com. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. .835 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Window Nation. Listen, October is here, and so is the return of chilly air seeping into your home. That is, if you've got those old, stuck, or cracked windows, you can eliminate annoying drafts once and for all with top-quality replacement windows from my friends at Window Nation. I've got, count them, 4 Window Nation windows in my home, including 2 in my downstairs basement studio. Now, Window Nation has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and, yes, the Mandis House. Now, right now, they've got a great deal just for listeners to my show. When you buy 2 windows, you are going to get 2 windows free. There's no limit as to how many windows you replace, and your total price includes 1-day installation. That's right. Make no payments for 2 years, no monthly payments, no down payment, and no interest until 2027. That is a big deal with the holidays, of course, coming up. Check these folks out. Window Nation, the phone number, 866-90-NATION. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
So that parking lot that we call 24 westbound this morning, it's a mess. You've got 24 westbound, an accident on the right shoulder now at exit 74. That's for I-840, and there is a giant delay in that area. Then you've got another one this morning on the eastbound side of 24 that looks like right past Bell Road, exit 59, a stalled out vehicle. The center 2 lanes are blocked off by that one. Charlotte Pike in West Mead, there's an accident at Davidson Drive. You have an accident on 40 eastbound in West Nashville at I-440. And then also Mount View Road in Stones River. There's an accident west of Dove Creek Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.839, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's time for the crisscross handoff. Hey, Joan, you know what you need for the crisscross handoff?
Chris.
Chris is apparently stuck on I-24.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess.
Which is fine. Do you know that for me, I consider it, I know you disagree with me, Joan. I consider the hours that I work an actual blessing because I don't have to drive in.
I know. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. It's the ugly hour of the day that we get up, but we don't deal with a whole lot of traffic.
Joan, it's not the ugly hour. It's the fugly hour of the day.
Can I tell you that driving home yesterday, after the fugly hour of waking up, driving home yesterday, I got a flat tire.
You did not.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Did you change your tire?
No. No.
Come on, Joan. You can change your own tire.
I'm sure I could, but I don't.
There's a reason why you have AAA or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I actually called this emergency roadside assistance guy.
Yeah.
He came out. He was great. Came out within 20 minutes for $40. Just put the donut on so I could make it to the tire store. Terrific. So
did they when you got to the tire store? Did you you got a new tire? Did they try to sell you 3 more like they tried to do with me?
So
because that is what they try to do.
They do.
They'll like do the whole penny thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh look, you can see the head of Lincoln or whatever it is, and try to talk you into new tires.
Well, they did talk me into new tires, and I thought it was the right thing to do. You don't think it is? So I bought 2 tires, 2 back tires, because it was my back driver's side tire.
Yeah.
So then they said, well, it's the tread doesn't match the one on the new one. The tread is going to be so different.
The tread doesn't match. You know what? That sounds like, I don't know. You know what, super texters?
Did I get rolled?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something to the tread won't match from one tire to the other. That just sounds like a little fishy to me.
Hang on. Did you hear the joke that I just made too? Did I get rolled? We're talking about tires. Wasn't that funny, Dan? Dan.
You know, if I could make a cricket's chirping sound, I would. RJ, do you think that was funny?
RJ, I'm behind you.
Just,
tires.
Don't quit your day job.
Oh, man. Rude.
By the way, somebody called you, what was it? Something about the Wicked Witch or something on the
They said that to
Super Text
RJ?
line. No, to you. Which I don't know why anybody would say. Oh, it is true. The thread needs to be the same on each side. Oh, now Tony says Joan got rolled.
Yeah.
Another person says you did good.
They saw you as a woman and they sold it to you. See, I was afraid of that.
Okay, see. So what's the official? Is it does the tread have to match or not?
Okay, so here's how they explained it. If the treads are different and it's an all-wheel drive car, so you're driving two-wheel drive until you're in a slipping situation. So then when that happens and it goes to all-wheel,
Yeah.
if it sends all-wheel and one is treading differently than the other one, then it could burn out something viscous, something. And I said, okay, that sounds right.
Do you know what's so funny? 10-12, Joan got played. Suzanne, lay off, Dan. Joan did the right thing. Now, Sally, who is our friend.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Says, well, Dan, tread depth matching is a real thing. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And I told RJ to Google this. RJ, what did you find?
All right, so this is from the official Car Talk Reddit. So this is multiple people confirming this.
Yes.
You need to have similar tire treads because it maintains vehicle stability, handling, and braking safety, especially if you've got all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive.
Okay.
Ha!
So Joan, you were right.
I feel like...
Vindicated.
I feel vindicated.
Just so people know, I'm just looking out for Joan's best interest. I don't want you to get rolled, Joan. What's amazing is we actually just did a public service, Joan.
We did.
So for all the people out there, including yours truly, that had no idea that matching tread depth was
You too can
was
go
a thing.
spend $650 and get some good tires.
Oh, my goodness, 600. Well, you know what? You need them. Hey, by the way, I need some video and audio, if I could, RJ. Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
Do you know how a Democrat is lying when
They're breathing?
When their lips move?
I left in May of 2022, just for the facts here.
Jen Psaki.
And I have seen Biden once since then, when I took my daughter to the holiday party this last December after he had lost. And so I hadn't seen him in person during that period of time. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage.
So what's happening, and I love that this is happening, what's happening is the people in Biden's inner circle, they are now sort of being held accountable. And so I think, as we've been talking about all day, that's why Cringe Jean-Pierre is beginning to get, or not beginning, she is getting pushback as she is now on her book tour. We've been playing audio off and on all day from CBS, and she was on some podcasts as well, where Corinne Jean-Pierre, former White House press secretary under Biden, she's getting serious pushback. And Jen Psaki, I think she gets a little bit of grace because she left after, how long was she White House press secretary? Do you remember, Joan?
How long was...
We got to start planning these things better.
Psaki.
P-S-A-K-I. Because I think that Biden wasn't as bad as, he ultimately ended up being under Corinne Jean-Pierre. But I mean, Biden was bad even during the, even during the early months of his presidency.
I think the campaign, he wasn't in all that great shape.
Yeah.
First of all, she was press secretary for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Maybe not that long, maybe a year and 4 months.
Okay.
So I think during the campaign, you could tell because, A, they were staying in the basement, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Him and Jill tucked into the basement, and he didn't have to go out. I think it helped to spiral him because he wasn't going out. He wasn't talking to people.
Yeah. But they wanted to hide him, and that's why they try to stay out of, debates and all that other stuff. They knew that he would be, hit with questions on the campaign trail. So, yeah, I mean, I think for the Democrats, number one, is that I love how you have, earlier we were playing this audio from Corinne Jean-Pierre when she was on CBS. Now, let me see if I can find that real quick. All right, so we can all agree that Jen Psaki is lying. So I'm gonna no longer run this. We were playing audio earlier of Corinne Jean-Pierre. She was on CBS, and one of the things that I thought was interesting is that the the anchors on CBS, it's like the CBS morning show or whatever it is, and they're saying, how is it possible that you didn't see Joe Biden, losing his ever-loving mind? You were part of his inner circle. And so one of the things that I'm noticing, and I think it's actually kind of funny, is that whether it's Stephen Colbert, whether it is this morning show on CBS and so forth, is that they are now trying to make it seem like they are in the clear, when the reality is they were right there with everybody else, including Karine Jean-Pierre, in saying that Joe Biden was fine. So the same people that were ignoring it, just like Karine Jean-Pierre, are now attacking her and saying that she ignored it and that she is lying in her book. This was Jean-Pierre. She is on a podcast, and I don't know what podcast this is, but this guy is pushing back, and I love it.
We did have legislative wins.
Sure,
and
but he
that
didn't
is
talk about him that well, though. He couldn't talk about them. He wasn't campaigning
no,
that
no. Wait,
vigorously.
first of all, he did talk about them. Whether it broke through or not, he did. Tim, he did talk about.
I mean, he talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do night events.
But Tim, that's not true.
If she just says, but Tim,
it'll make it all better.
Yeah.
If
she just says, but Tim, another 15 times, he'll back off on calling her a liar.
Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good. He sounded very old.
Maybe you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
wow. So I'm assuming. Here's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that this person, Tim, I'm not sure who it is. I apologize to Tim, but for her not to say to a political podcaster, maybe you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. Are you kidding me? And so she's definitely on the defensive.
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled.
So he didn't speak to the American people a couple of times a week. He clearly did not. I mean, that is a blatant lie. You folks watching on YouTube, and you've been watching all day, she's got a new hairstyle. Same old lies. She used to have that tight perm.
Yeah.
And now she has it straight. And people are like, we couldn't even recognize her. Why do you think she changed her hair, Joan? That's the thing that people keep talking about.
Well, because she's the new persona. She's defending Biden here, but she's been talking about Democrats in a whole different light. She changed her political affiliation to independent.
Sure.
So she's trying to just make herself appear a little different. I think she's trying to jumpstart her own political career.
Really?
Yeah.
You think she wants to be a politician?
I do. She thinks she has the right stuff. I mean, I really believe she thinks that.
Where does she live?
That's a good question. She was living in Washington, D.C. Where does...
Can you imagine? Would people even vote for her? I don't think she's not liked in her own party. So I don't really think that she would have...
Yeah, she lives in Washington,
Matt
D.C.
Murphy. Thank you, Matt Murphy. This is Tim Miller, lefty podcast guy.
Ah.
So there you go.
She lives in...
By the way, Matt, thanks for telling everybody that I slept in the Home Depot parking lot yesterday.
Yeah, that
really
wasn't very nice.
Pal. I'm just kidding, Matt. We love you.
She lives in Washington, D.C. I guess she stayed there.
All right. Well, whatever. I don't know. The Democrats definitely don't like her these days, including Tim Miller and the anchors on CBS News. And, she had a run-in with Jake Tapper and, some other people as well. So I do find it interesting that the same TV news anchors that completely ignored Joe Biden's obvious mental and cognitive decline are now on the attack against Karine Jean-Pierre as they say, oh, what do you mean you didn't notice? You were right there. And I would say to all these people that are questioning her, well, you were too. I mean, you were watching him on TV just like all the rest of us were. And I'm not in Washington, D.C. I'm certainly not part of the Biden inner circle. But I could certainly tell, and all you all could too that are listening and watching on Super Talk TV, we knew that Joe Biden was cognitively declining. We did know. So certainly the Tim Miller and all of these other TV anchors and so forth, they knew that Joe Biden was cognitively declining. They certainly did. They just don't want to admit to it, and they want to use Karine Jean-Pierre as a punching bag. I think that's what's happening. Joan, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, you'd have to be blind and incapable of thinking in order to think that Joe Biden was okay, because he wasn't. You saw him wander off. You saw him talking to the ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Saw him fall a lot.
Saw him fall. You saw him get lost on the stage. You know, calling out for
the time he walked into the woods.
Walking into the woods.
Right?
Oh my God, that was so funny, Joan.
And
remember he just turned around and he just started walking into the woods, and people are like, where's he going?
Yeah. And how about the time he was with, maybe it was a G7 meeting or something, and one of the world leaders had to turn around and issue him to, come on back this way, buddy.
The time that Obama had to lead him off the stage, Obama grabbed him by the wrist.
I mean, there's just so many instances of the crazy things he would say. Oh my goodness. It was a crazy time that we lived in, and we all knew it.
They were the best of times and the worst of times.
They were the worst of times.
Best of times because as a talk show host, it was like nonstop content. The worst of times because he tried to destroy our country. Anyway, 8:54, Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, Republican lawmakers are heading off to the White House today. We'll tell you what they're doing there. Coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 8:54, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, Joan, if you could, look to your right and tell me if Chris Hand is here.
Hey, Chris. Nope. No, Chris.
All right.
You're stuck, buddy. You're on the air.
Oh, that's what you think. I'm just kidding. Chris will stick around as long as we need to. The Wellness Institute of Nashville, Dan Mandis here. They are in the middle of the Big Daddy Trump special from the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Listen, if you have chronic back, neck, or knee pain, they can help you out at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. This is where I went. $12 for a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. Call them today to get started, 615-246-5009. If you've got back and neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers and toes, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help you. And $12 is going to get you started. That gets you a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and again, that first treatment. Non-surgical, state-of-the-art spinal decompression, they can help you. No surgery, no spinal injections, and no painkillers. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com, painisbad.com. $8:56 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for my friends at DT McCall's. This is a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value. They have been here for 4 generations, and if you need it, they've got it at DT McCall's. Indoor furniture, friends. If you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. Appliances. If you need something that plugs in, they've got it. They've always got specials going on to save you money. Just go to their website, dtmccalls.com. Right there on the front page, they've got great deals on furniture and appliances. All the best brands. Check them out today, dtmccalls.com. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. And if you buy it, they're going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee, Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com.